As the Americans have lost many players, it's been an up and down week for the team. Top-tier pitching has won them some games, but the Bats have struggled, averaging just 1.6 runs over the last 5 games. Today they face another team that started hot, but has lost talent as the season goes on, with a chance to take the lead in the season series. It's the Americans. It's the Pilots. It's PGCBL Baseball right here on the Americans Baseball Network.
That the ace of the Giant pitching staff that season was Niagara Falls native Sal Magley. A league-low 2.71 earned run.
They chose Niagara Falls because of the stadium, because of the history, because they believe in Niagara Falls.
Tickets 716-215-6161.
And where do you play?
We play right at Sal Magley, gorgeous stadium.
Set the 1-0 to Boyle. Is hammered to right field.
Go, baby, go, baby. Go,
Come
baby,
here,
go,
fence.
Baby.
That ball is way out of here.
Welcome back to Sal Magley Stadium. It's the Americans and Pilots getting ready to face off here in the third matchup of the season between these two teams. I'm Andrew Roberts. I'll be your play-by-play broadcaster for the entire season, and I'm here today with my color commentator, Avery Vogt. Avery, how you doing today?
You know, I'm doing great, Andrew. Another week, though. Had some other spots to fill. I'm doing some DJ, doing it all again, but I'm glad to be back on the broadcast with you, Andrew.
Thank you so much, and thanks for joining me once again. It's going to be a fun game here between these two teams who are kind of in similar spots. Both these teams started off the season very strong. We're 1-2 in the standings for most of the first half of June, and then players kind of just started leaving for both these teams. We'll take a look specifically at some of the Americans' bats that have departed because it is getting to be a lot here. Ethan Madison, Brady Bowles, Jack Satinoff, Dalton Harper, and Tristan Raley all leaving within the last week. Paul Delanto and Derek Gismondi going to miss some time, but should be back with the team before the season ends. Delanto expected back around the end of this week. But as a result, in these last 5 games since Thursday, just 1.6 runs scored per game. And Avery, I mean, they were able to get a couple of wins with some good pitching, but that is not going to be sustainable if they want to stay in this playoff hunt.
Yeah, usually one of the big factors in baseball and pretty much any sport is defense. They always say defense wins you championships, but if you have good outings by your pitchers, you're going to need some bats across to get you some runs in. But like we've noted, we've seen guys like Dalton Harper, you know, just guys like that leaving the team, and it's a big hit for the Americans. They had some strong bats with those guys, but I have enough confidence in the rest of this team to push them across, and I'm hoping for a playoff spot here for the Americans.
Yeah, and speaking of the rest of the team, Aiden Klimzak winning PGCBL Pitcher of the Week after a 7-inning complete game shutout in the doubleheader against the Ironbacks yesterday. Have a day, Aiden. That was amazing to watch. He had a no-hitter headed into the 7th inning. I was hoping to call that a no-hitter, but props to him for staying in the game even after giving up that hit and finishing things out.
Yeah, it was a very strong start from Klimzak, and one of the positive things I like to think about, too, is the bullpen. You don't have to waste any other arms. You got guys resting, and to go through a whole game with just one pitcher, especially in a doubleheader, it's a very, very strong start for Klimzak, and he gets rewarded with the Player of the Week.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, a lot of arms were used in the games prior to that, but should be enough rested for today. John Ondas expected to get the start, and Hudson Boring expected out of the pen. Well, before we take a look at the rest of these starting lineups today, we'll give you some context here with the PGCBL standings. The Muck Dogs are in first place, sole possession of it after winning that series over the Americans. Americans in Double Days tied for second. Double Days have the tiebreaker on winning percentage and on head-to-head matchups. Tarp Skunks in fourth place, holding the final playoff spot for now, but the Pilots and Pioneers just a few games behind them, still in that mix. Red Wings and Ironbacks likely out of it. The Ironbacks at this point in the season, their absolute best that they could possibly do, and this is if they win every single game the rest of the year, would be a 500 record.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it here when the Ironbacks, we've played them a lot this season, and they unfortunately have just not been doing great so far. I mean, they beat us yesterday in one of the doubleheaders, but yeah, I don't know. It's a new team. It's always going to be different when you have a new team coming across, but as much as we've played them this year, I'd like to see them do better next year. I mean, obviously this is not the season you'd like to see out of the Ironbacks, but I'm liking this team, and hopefully next year they have a stronger start.
Yeah, the Ironbacks winning their only game over the Americans this season in a doubleheader. Pretty fitting for a team that has won 3 out of their 4 games that they've won in doubleheaders. So the Americans just going to have to hope that in their remaining games against the Ironbacks, they play against this team a total of 4 more times, or rather 3 more times. But nonetheless, the Americans going to have to hope that they can pull out the rest of those as victories moving forward, especially with no more doubleheaders against the Ironbacks coming up.
Yeah, I mean, the Americans had a strong start to this season, and you know, unfortunately, they've dropped some games I feel that they could have won, but like I've said before, Andrew, I have enough confidence in this team that they can really get some streaks going, as we've seen a couple times this season. So we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. We're about halfway through, give or take a couple of games, but I feel the Americans will finish the season very strong.
Yeah, a little more than halfway, and in about a week from now, we're going to be able to start talking about clinches of playoff berths, clinches of seeds, eliminations. All that exciting stuff is just a week or so away as the season begins to wind down. Just 3 full weeks remaining in the PGCBL season. The Americans' final game will be just about 3 weeks from now in Canada against the Ironbacks. So
Yeah,
starting pretty much how it ended. I mean, the first home game was against the Ironbacks, played a road game against the Muck Dogs, and then finishing in Canada as well.
Yeah, it seems almost fitting for these Americans. I believe we played the Ironbacks about 12 times this season, which is a lot, especially for one opponent. But it seems, like I said, almost fitting to finish the season off with that same Ironbacks team, especially with these teams being so close, with just a border dividing them. So it'll be good to end the season against the Ironbacks.
And Avery, let's take a look at some of these upcoming games for the Americans. The big promo nights coming up here at the barbershop.
Yeah, we got tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, I'm kind of excited for a Bark in the Park night against the Diesel. You know, bring your dogs. It's always cool. It's always a nice time, especially when like MLB teams do it, and even now with the Americans having Bark in the Park night, it's always cool. It's always a good time to see dogs. I'm a big dog guy, so
It'll be against Paul Wolf's Diesel as well. That's going to be a fun game.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That'll be tomorrow night right here at Sal Magley. First pitch at 6:30. Take a look at the rest of these games.
Yeah, we also got 716, and I'm excited for that one. Being from Buffalo myself, 716 phone number, 716 area code. It's going to be a great night. I'll probably be wearing some Buffalo gear that night, and we're encouraging all fans to as well. And we're hoping for a special guest. We still got to figure out who, but we're hoping someone from some Buffalo team to be here. But like I said, I just love Buffalo. It's a great city. All the sports teams, the Bills, the Sabres, the fans are just so dedicated. It's a great environment to always be in. So that night will definitely be special for me.
And Avery, why don't you give us the Newark Pilots lineup as we get closer to the game? Take it away.
All right, so we got a lineup here for the New York Pilots. Leading off for the Pilots, we got number 9, Nick DiGiacomo, who's playing the center field, coming over from Franklin Marshall, a D3 school. Batting second for these Pilots, we got Chris Vinicario, number 28, the right fielder, playing at a very local team, plays at this field, SUNY Niagara. Batting third for these Pilots, we got number 23, Cooper Loyal, coming all the way from Albany, a D1 school. Batting in the cleanup spot, we got number 19, Noah Brooks, who's going to be behind the dish tonight, coming all the way from Siena, a D1 school as well. Next up, we got number 31, one of the twins on this team, Park Zeiser, playing first base tonight, all the way from Monroe Community College. And I'd like to point out that Monroe is pretty close to my school, St. John Fisher, out in Rochester, so it's kind of a nice connection there. Next up, we got number 22, Grant Ingram. He's going to be the DH tonight, all the way coming from North Arkansas, a JUCO school out in there. Then we got number 8, Jacob Paletto, playing left field tonight. Then we got number 39, Evan Brock, playing third base, also from Monroe Community College. Then we got number 36, Liam Wagner, all the way from Emerson, a D3 school, playing second base. And finally, in the last spot, we got Jason Brown, number 38, the extra hitter, who plays in an NAIA school, which is similar to the American Zone, Grant Moore. And then on the mound tonight for the Pilots, we got number 35, Alexei Simikek. He's from Kalamazoo, a D3 school as well. He had his last appearance against Geneva, where he went 5 1/3. So that is the complete lineup tonight we have for the Pilots lineup. As now the players are getting introduced. As Tommy Mathey taking the field. As Carmen Panaro will be hitting as well tonight. We always like to see him in the lineup. He hasn't gotten as much playing time as I'm sure he was but like I said, he's always good to see him on the field, and I like when he pitches too. He's a very strong pitcher. He's closed out a couple games, and I think he can really wheel and deal for this Americans team. And we'll give you a little bit more of a look at these promo nights coming up for these Americans. On the 18th of July, we have T-shirt giveaway night. It's going to be a world of T-shirts here at Sal Magley Stadium as we give away some Niagara Falls Americans T-shirts with all of our sponsors on the back of the shirts. It'd be great for the fans to come out and get some free T-shirts. I mean, why not? Free shirts? Who doesn't love free stuff? We also got report card night on that Monday, July 21st, and any students who bring their report cards will get in for free. And we also got another team photo night. That'll be the official team photo night, and that'll be Wednesday, July 23rd. And finally, the last promo night, I think will be pretty good, is Saturday, July 26th. It's bring pet food, and you get in for free. I feel like that's almost similar to the Erie County Fair. If anyone out there goes to that, you can always bring in some food and get in for free. That's always a good trade-off. But we'll have it here at South Mega with bringing pet food. So we also have Bark in the Park night tomorrow, but then bringing pet food for free. So it's kind of a double whammy there with those nights. As Apollo and Yankee Doodle Dan take the field, and now we will stop for the anthem.
In the singing of our national anthem. Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And we bring you back as the national anthem was just sung by our own Doc Fonz, our own PA announcer, singing the national anthem tonight. I had the responsibility of singing the national anthem and Canada's national anthem, and one of the first games we had here was between the Buffalo Diesel and the Orioles here for some mini ball. That was definitely an experience. I've never done that before, but it was always a fun time. Always good to get the pipes going here, singing some anthems. As now, I believe we should be having a very special ceremonial first pitch coming out here just momentarily, as both sides return to their own respective dugouts.
Thank you very much, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, one of the greatest traditions in baseball is the ceremonial first pitch.
Looks like we had a little bit of a standoff there after the anthem.
So please direct your attention to the mat for tonight's ceremonial first pitch. Tonight's first pitcher, please welcome Niagara Falls Americans broadcaster Andrew Roberts. Andrew, who
as Andrew Roberts, our own broadcaster, will be throwing out the first pitch. And I was talking to him earlier. He says he's got a 50-50 chance of either hitting the zone or not at all. So let's see how he does here. Oof. There you go. It gets in there, so not a bad pitch there by Andrew. He's definitely earned that first pitch. He's a great broadcaster. He's a great partner to work with. He just loves this team. You can ask this kid anything about this team, and he could tell you within seconds. He's very dedicated to his job, and I wouldn't want to work with anyone else here on the broadcast, as he hopefully scurries back up here, and as we get this game underway here in just moments, as John Honest takes some warm-up pitches with Nick Pass behind the plate. And hoping here for the Americans to get a big win tonight against these Newark Pilots, as it's a very warm day out here in Niagara Falls. I was running around the stadium here earlier. It was really sweating here. It's a nice day out, though. It's cooled down a little bit. The breeze is picking up a little bit, so it should be a great day for baseball. All the fans coming out, and all of you on the broadcast. Appreciate you coming out and watching, as I believe Andrew should be back here in just a second. But for now, we'll see the double A's come up here in a second. First leading off, we got Nick DiGiacomo, as I mentioned before, is playing center field. He's got a 300 batting average this year and an 877 OPS on the season with 10 ribbies. And batting second will be number 28, Chris Finicario, with a 400 batting average and an 874 OPS with 1 ribby. And batting third, number 23, Cooper Loyal, with a 313 batting average and an 851 OPS. As Andrew, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you so much. Had a fun time throwing out the first pitch today, but came back and I saw you were in my chair, so I don't know what's going on there.
Just had to take over for a second. Andrew had to make sure the broadcast was good enough.
That's going to be a high fly ball into right field, and it's caught by Evan Core for out number 1. But yeah, thanks for filling in, Avery.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime, Andrew.
And we've got John Ondas on the mound for the Americans. Already has 1 out. Ondas, 2-0 on the year with a 5.06 ERA and 12 strikeouts.
Yeah, he joined this Americans team a little bit into the season, but he's done very well here for the Americans, and hoping to see another great out here for him today.
That's another liner into left field for the base hit. So Finicario, the first base runner for these Pilots.
Yeah, another quick at-bat there, the first pitch. Finicario just finds a pitch he likes right away and drives it into the left field. And first runner on for the Pilots there today.
Cooper Loyal will be next. Pilots flying through this order.
Yeah, well, we're what, 30 seconds into this game, and they're already up to their third batter here.
That's 1-0 to Cooper Loyal. I mean, you'd expect Pilots to fly, but maybe not that fast. 1-0 is going to be fouled off. 1's across the board for Cooper Loyal, the shortstop. 313 hitter on the year, 851 OPS.
He's a very strong hitter here for these Pilots. Got a very high batting average, as you mentioned, Andrew, so we'll see how he plays this at-bat out here.
Fouled off. And it's 1-2 on Loyal. Loyal comes from University at Albany. Rising junior there. Here's the 1-2 pitch. And it is going to go past Nick Past. Pun not intended, but taking second base is Chris Finicario on the wild pitch. So Cooper Loyal has a runner in scoring position with an even count. Looking to see if he can capitalize on Finicario's status on second. Ondas checks back on Finicario, now delivers. It's fouled off. Loyal played the last 2 summers for the Geneva Red Wings, now switched over to the Pilots this summer. Seems like he made a good choice given the difference in those teams' records.
Yeah, Geneva hasn't been doing very well this season, but I would agree with you there, Andrew, that the Pilots here have done much better than the Geneva Red Wings, so it's definitely a good decision by him.
Count is now full on Loyal. Can he show his loyalty and knock in this run. Instead, it's a swing and miss for strike 3. John Ondas, his first strikeout of the day, comes on the swing and miss. Loyal sent packing. Noah Brooks up next. Brooks, the only Pilot with a home run this season, also leads the team in batting average amongst qualified hitters. 1068 OPS. Chris Vinnicario a little higher, just doesn't have the playing time that Brooks has had. It's a foul ball down the first base line for strike 1.
Yeah, what also stands out with me with Brooks is he's got 22 ribbies on the season. It's a very high number here for the cleanup spot here for these Pilots.
Absolutely. The 0-1 pitch in just a moment from Ondas. He checks on Finnicario first, now delivers. High chopper heads into the glove of Gazaldo at third. The throw in time for out number 3. So the 5-3 ground out will wrap things up in the first inning. Chris Finnicario stranded at second as we head to the break.
Fans, if you've been to a game, you know that I give away pizza to a lucky fan in the middle of the third inning. But what you might not know is that Sammy's is located right across the street. They've also been family owned and operated for 3 generations since 1962 and originated the half tray of pizza. But if you're hungry at the game, you can stop by the concession stand and get a slice of Sammy's for yourself.
Bottom of the first inning, we will give you the lineup for the Niagara Falls Americans in just a moment. And here it is. Grant Moore going to lead things off per usual. 432 hitter, leads the league in batting average. Evan Core batting second in right field. Gavin Boyle, the left fielder, batting third. 2 home runs in the last week, the first of them against Newark. Graydon Miller in the cleanup spot tonight, playing first. He is red hot. Chris Gazaldo, the 5-hole, playing third. Tommy Mathay, the DH, bats 6. Carmen Pinaro, the extra hitter tonight, batting 7th. Nick Pass doing the catching, only active catcher on the roster right now with Delanto away from the team for the time being. Connor Kiefer playing second and batting 9th. Alan Ramos playing short will round things out. And they will be facing Alexei Simicek, the Pilots starting pitcher. A 10.13 ERA on the year, 1-1 record, and 4 strikeouts. Comes from Kalamazoo College. That's a fun name to say.
Yeah, I mean, with these Americans coming up to bat, one thing I like to see here is Graydon Miller moving up in the lineup. The last few home games, he's been batting, maybe 9th and 10th in the lineup, but batting the cleanup spots there. I like to see how the Graydon Miller has been a very hot hitter. We'll see if he continues that with this day-to-day here against the Pilots.
I mean, he's reached base in every single game he's played. Some of those by fielder's choice or errors, but did have a big hit streak going to begin the season as well. So he's had a hit in most of the team's games this season. Takes ball 1 low to start things off. Moore also leads the league in triples and stolen bases, so one of the fastest in the league in addition to his bat. The 1-0 pitch drops low to put the count well in Moore's favor to start things off.
Yeah, when you got a guy like Grant Moore who can bat and run, it's a great guy to have to lead off for this team, as he's definitely solidified that spot here for these Americans.
2-0 pitch right down the pike, and finally a strike thrown. Grant Moore looking to take a 3rd consecutive ball. Seems like that's what he was expecting there. But the count's still in his favor, so had some wiggle room. So foul ball, even things up. That's right down that third base line. Moore looking to start this game off on a high note. Simicek, the pitch. Outside. Fill things up. A lot of full counts early in this game on both sides.
Yeah, be a good start here for the Americans if Grant Moore can get on base here. So we'll see with this payoff pitch.
Outside, and it's ball 4. Grant Moore indeed gets on base. It's a walk, and to go along with the theme we've been talking about all season, if Grant Moore can just get on base, doesn't matter how, practically a guarantee he'll get to second somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure the catcher here for the Pilots, Noah Brooks, has got in his back pocket that he's got to watch out here for Grant Moore.
Yeah, Grant Moore already has that lead on first base, and Evan Core will take one way high up. It gets past Brooks, and just like that, Moore's on second. What did we just say? And a wild pitch is going to help, but nonetheless, Moore found a way.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the ball gets past the catcher, it makes it a little easier there for Grant Moore, but regardless, like you said, Andrew, gets on second base, and now we've already got runners in scoring position here for the Americans.
1-0 count right now, and Moore in scoring position. Evan Core looking to knock him in with the count in his favor. It's going to be a pop-up into the shallow infield. Several fielders are there, but it's the third baseman, Evan Brock, to make the grab for out number 1.
It looked like a flock of birds there for the Pilots, all the infielders moving in. Couldn't really tell who was going to grab that ball, but like you mentioned, Andrew, Evan Brock comes down with the ball for the first out for the Pilots.
I don't know about birds, maybe planes.
Yeah, you're right there, Andrew.
The birds are over on the Americans' side.
Yeah, they also like to fly around the stadium, too, and mess with us, but not today. Hasn't seen many birds here at the ballpark.
Thankfully for the players, birds staying out of their way. Gavin Boyle, the left fielder,
Nice.
sends it into the outfield for the base hit. Right past the second baseman, Liam Wagner. Grant Moore going to easily score on that one. So Gavin Boyle knocking in the first run of the evening. Grant Moore scores. Americans lead 1-0. So after 13 straight innings without a run, the Americans have now scored in their last 2 innings. Ended the Ironbacks game 2 of the doubleheader, with a run, and now bottom of the first in this game, they lead 1-0.
Yeah, he definitely turned over no leaf here for the Americans. Getting a run in the first inning is something you definitely like to see here for this team.
Graydon Miller takes a close shave for ball 1. Miller, 347 hitter. He has been red hot in the recent days. Chopper foul as Miller has the count even, ones across the board. Graydon. His 8-game hit streak snapped against the Ironbacks. Looking to start a new one, and it's a low strike 2 on the curveball from Simacek. Miller fighting in this at bat, and it's a ground ball up the middle, picked up by Loyal. 1 out, and now 2 outs. The double play ends the inning. Graydon Miller grounding into it. And Cooper Loyal responsible in part for both of those outs. We'll send it to the top of the second. Be right back.
You know, I'm kind of thirsty. Me too. We could really use something.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Yankee Doodle Dan.
That's better.
We bring you back for the top of the second inning. Andrew Roberts back here with Avery Vogt. The second inning on the Americans Baseball Network is brought to you, as always, by Bully Hill Vineyard. It's a great place to grab lunch and taste over 40 different wines. Go to bullyhillvineyards.com, for more. So Avery, the Americans strike first in this game. Gavin Boyle driving in Grant Moore on the RBI single. And Grant Moore has been plated so many times this season because his base running just gets him in position. The Americans have been able to capitalize all season long.
Yeah, Gavin Boyle just got a hit right up the middle, and like you said, Andrew, with that speed you got in Grant Moore, he's able to round third and come home and beats out the throw and scores a run here early for the Americans. And like I said earlier, it's a great start here for the Americans to get an early lead.
Moore and Boyle, two of the biggest standouts for this Americans team. It's a low ball 1 to Parker Zeiser. Zeiser stands at 156 on the year. Takes a strike on the outside edge of the zone. Came over from the Red Wings after a game or so in Geneva. So it seems like these pilots have flocked from Geneva's team. It's a low ball 2.
Yeah. I feel like we said that a couple times here today, Andrew. Players coming from Geneva, but seems like they made the right decision coming here to a bit of a better roster here. Got a little bit of a better record, but no shame in that as strike 2 drops in there.
Strike 2 from Zeiser, from John Ondas. It was another corner strike. This one too far outside. It's 3-2 on the count. Big pitch coming up for John Ondas. Parker Zeiser got on base last time facing these Americans. Ground ball up the middle, and Ramos with the slide. The throw to first will not be in time. Bounces in the dirt. It'll be an infield single for Zeiser. I mean, if it weren't for the slide from Ramos, would have gone right into center field.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great play by Ramos. Unfortunately, didn't get the out that we wanted, but that was a great effort there by Ramos. Makes a diving stop there. Throw just not in time there, as now the Pilots have a runner on first here.
So, I mean, Dalton Harper, when he was on the Americans, we talked about him being a catcher with some nice speed. Parker Zeiser at first today, but also a catcher with some good speed for this team. And he has a lead on first base now after reaching on the infield single. Upstairs, ball 1 to Grant Ingram. Ingram, a 342 hitter, 930 OPS, can also pitch, but his best has come in this batting order. The 1-0 fouled off. Back into the first base side bleachers. Count is even on Grant. Grant Ingram, some great numbers, not quite to the level of the Americans' own Grant out in center field, but Ingram's been excellent for this team. 1-1 pitch from Ondas. It's a high pop-up into the infield. Kiefer's there. He'll make the grab. Ramos was right next to him, but it's more in Kiefer's territory in the end. 1 down, 1 on for the Pilots with Jacob Paletto up next.
Stepping in left fielder number 8, Jacob Paletto.
And Paletto, 265 hitter, 694 OPS. Was not always set to be number 8. There was another number 8 for this Pilots team that has not played in a game yet this season. So Paletto now has that number. It's strike 1 low from Ondas. Robbie Lamond, the previous owner of that number 8, came from Wheaton College in Massachusetts. Swing and a miss. Make it 0-2. Goes right into pass glove. John Ondas looking for strikeout number 2 of the day, as well as out number 2 in the inning, with Zeiser still on first base. And another pop-up, this one deepening into the outfield, and no one's going to get there. Bounces into the bleachers. Shows how bouncy this turf can be sometimes. Way in foul territory. Next to, over the wall is one thing. It's a little shorter than the fence over those bleachers, but for it to hop all the way into the bleachers from foul territory is kind of insane.
Yeah, that ball really got some jump on it, especially after it hit the turf, and like you said, but it's almost a great play by Gavin Boyle there, really turning the wheels on there to try to make that catch.
The 0-2, swing and a miss. Paletto sent packing. He's the second strikeout victim of Ondas tonight. Evan Brock up next. Yeah, Gavin Boyle, he took a day off from playing the field yesterday in the doubleheader. The only game he played in, he DH'd. And that day off seems to be paying off, always putting his body on the line when he's in the field. And back to full speed after a day of rest from playing left. Evan Brock up next, takes ball one, low near the dirt. Brock, a 233 hitter, 645 OPS, and I was kind of freaking out before the game when I printed out my boards that I had typed something wrong because him and Evan Core almost have identical numbers this season. And wait, did I get my Evans mixed up? But no. Core and Brock, very similar profiles at the plate. The big difference, Core had a hot streak to start the season, so his numbers have kind of balanced out since. But nonetheless, pretty freaky.
Yeah, I would say looking at their stats here, Evan Core with a 232 batting average and Evan Brock with a 233, but they have the same exact OPS of a 645, so I could definitely see the possibility of a mix-up there, Andrew.
3-0 pitch from Ondas. 4-pitch walk. Puts runners on first and second for Liam Wagner. That's not a guy you want to mess with. He's a rising freshman at Emerson College, but over at BC High, that's a pretty high-level prep school in Massachusetts. Batted .556 with a 1714 OPS. Here for the Pilots so far, just 240, but definitely some upside off of his bat. Two ducks on the pond. It's Brock and Zeiser. First pitch goes low. Again, near the dirt for ball one. It's been 5 consecutive balls from John Ondas. Americans still lead 1-0. Looking to keep it that way against this Newark squad. The 1-0 is fouled off right into the glove of Nick Past. Could hear that quiet crack of the bat, but Past coming up with it right away.
Yeah, that crack made it almost seem like made contact, but like you said, Andrew, goes right into the glove of Nick Pass, so it gets a nice strike in there for Ondas.
So on the foul tip right into the glove, makes it 1-1. Another low ball from Ondas here. So no swing and miss over these last two at-bats. But got one on Paletto just a bit ago. Here's the 2-1. Swing and a miss right there. So Ondas back on track. Count is even. Can he strike out Liam Wagner for his third in just 2 innings? Would be a great start to John's day. Has always had some good run support when he's pitched, hence the 2-0 record. But a 5.06 ERA headed in. 2's across the board. It's a grounder right to Graydon Miller at first. Soft bounce and then the tag for out number 3. Liam Wagner, a victim of Graydon Miller at first, and we'll send it to the bottom of the second after the break.
My fellow American fans, my name is Frankie Morris, your social media manager. You can join us all summer long with many promotional nights and tickets just as low as $10. You can call and get tickets at 716-215-6161 and take a crack at the action.
Hey fans, this season get yourself the latest Americans gear. Hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, baseballs, and much, much more. Stop by the merchandise stand, buy concessions.
And a new pitcher here for the Pilots. Just a short bit into the game. Get you word on who that pitcher is in just a moment. It's Sean Driscoll. Started a game or two for these Pilots early in the season, but on the year, a 6.75 ERA and 10 strikeouts. Has not pitched since June 18th in Batavia. Chris Gazzaldo kicks things off for the Americans. He'll be followed up by Tommy Mathay and Carmen Panaro in this bottom of the second. And as Avery mentioned, you can get your merchandise down near concessions every single home game. Drops in on the breaking ball for strike one. Gazzaldo, slow couple of games after a hit streak last week. Spanned 7 games before expiring. That's going to be a ground ball into right field for the base hit. Gazzaldo looking to start a new hit streak. Had a double last night. Wasn't scored a double, but likely will be overturned as such. And now a single in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Gazzaldo playing a different position today as the infield for the Americans got shifted around a little bit. He's playing third today instead of his usual shortstop, taken over by Alan Ramos today. But nice start here for Gazzaldo with a nice early single here in this bottom of the second.
With Shane Prey a little sore and Brady Bowles off the team for this second half of the season, Gazzaldo and Ramos have kind of been alternating between short and third over these last handful of games, saving both their arms to an extent from third base. But it's 1-0 to Tommy Mathay. Another outside ball. I like Will Cordero, what he's doing, putting back-to-back Panola hitters in the order right next to each other. Because these guys know each other well. They know how they operate, and they can work with each other on the base paths if Mathay can get on.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Andrew, when you play together at the same school, you kind of create these tendencies. You know what certain guys do on the base path or what they're doing when they're at bat. And so, like you said, Cordero seems like he knows what he's doing here and putting them back-to-back here in the lineup.
3-0 count on Mathay right now, and if he walks here, they will be on base together. Instead, it's a corner strike one from the new pitcher. So Simacek going just a single inning, giving up a run on 1 hit and 1 walk. Gets in there for strike 2, similar spot. And the new pitcher, Driscoll, seems to have found his part of the zone for strikes.
Yeah, he got off to a 3-0 count and battled his way back to a full count here.
But right there, outside for ball 4, Gazzaldo speeding towards second. He was going to get there anyways on the walk. But it's 2 ducks on the pond now for Carmen Panaro, who's had a pretty hot bat of late. Double yesterday against the Ironbacks. 294 hitter, 967 OPS. Not to mention, has gotten 2 saves as a pitcher, so this guy can do it all.
Yeah, it's always good, too, to see him back in the lineup. He always hasn't been at it batting a lot, but it's always great to see him back in the lineup. I think he's a great hitter and a pitcher as well, too. You can do both sides of it, like you mentioned, Andrew.
And he takes ball 1 outside. He's been more of a hitter these last few days, given how many are missing on this Americans team right now. I mean, once Delanto and Gismondi as well as Prey get healthy, possible Panaro will see some more pitching, but as of right now, they need his bat. The 1-0 pitch will be a strike on the outside edge. And I mean, Panaro, even when those guys come back, I'd argue of the bats remaining on the roster, he's among the best. A guy who really should be seeing more time in the lineup down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean,
an outside ball 2 to him.
But, yeah, one thing they always like to do, especially here in the PGCBL, is kind of earning your spot. And I definitely think, like you said, Andrew, Panaro definitely should see some more playing time as he's almost earned his spot here on this roster.
Totally has done that. And Simacek only facing 4 batters in that 1 inning of work. The 6-3 double play to end things. It's an upstairs ball 3. Brooks has to jump up for that one. walk here would load the bases for Nick Past. Past not necessarily the biggest of power bats, but a capable hitter nonetheless, and a patient hitter. There'll be nowhere to put him as Carmen Panaro takes ball 4.
Stepping in for the Americans, catcher number 20, Nick Past.
So Panaro now on first base and a meeting on the mound as Driscoll has these bases juiced. Got to wonder how many pitchers the Pilots plan to go through today, because they already pulled the starter Simacek, and now a meeting with the new pitcher Driscoll.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you see every day, Andrew, especially pulling the starter after 1 inning and now already one meeting with the new pitcher Sean Driscoll, but only giving up 1 run so far, so it hasn't been a terrible day for the Pilots, but we'll see as this game goes on, especially with the bases loaded here, and we'll see how the rest of this game goes here for the Pilots and their pitching staff.
Only 15 POs on the Pilots roster. For those of you new to the term, that's guys who are pitchers only. Couple of position players who can also pitch in Brady King and Grant Ingram, but right now, Driscoll staying in to face Nick Past with the bases juiced. Strike 1 down the pike. That meeting seems to have helped Driscoll. This is the bottom of the order, so I'd imagine that the coaching staff was telling him to attack the zone through these next few hitters.
Yeah, and it seems like that definitely was the message there, as Driscoll gets 2 strikes in early there on Nick Past, and Past just seems to keep the bat on his shoulder there, so let's see what he does here with 2 strikes on the board.
2 different pitches there, fastball and breaking ball, to make it an 0-2 count on Nick. Can't afford balls on this count, but it's 1-2 now on a far outside pitch. Noah Brooks with a nice stop there. That got past him. Very possible some runs could have scored on the wild pitch, and now Brooks meeting with Driscoll. Seems there was a miscommunication of sorts right there, but to me it looked like Driscoll just missed his target.
Yeah, it seemed like he wanted to try to nick that far corner there on Nick Past, but like you said, Andrew, he just missed his zone completely there and had to talk it over there with his catcher. And we'll see if he made any adjustments here. And 1-2 count here on Pass.
Nick Past, 208 hitter on the year, 641 OPS. Took a beating yesterday, some hit by pitches, and he was behind the plate in both games. It's going to be a shallow pop-up right into the glove of first baseman Parker Zeisser for out number 1. Zeisser coming in from first into the infield grass to make that grab, and it's 1 down with the bases still juiced for Connor Kiefer. Kiefer, bat has been a little bit cold of late, but can definitely show off his power at times. Had a double a couple games back. 231 hitter on the year, though, 602 OPS. And has been excellent on defense after some errors earlier last week. Strike 1 inside to Kiefer. And the most vivid memory I have of Kiefer's defense in recent games is not the errors, but the Superman-style catch in the outfield. Top of the 8th inning against Batavia. It's a ball Grant Moore probably could have had, but Kiefer diving back to get it. The 0-1 fouled off, very top of the netting, almost went over. But 2 strikes on Kiefer here. Strikeouts and pop-outs have been a problem for Kiefer at times, but when he makes contact, usually has been able to get on. Aside from those pop-ups. Driscoll with the 0-2 count and 1 down. Outside ball 1. It's had a couple of 1-2 counts now. Seems it's difficult for Driscoll to throw 3 strikes in a row, but also possible. Wants to avoid becoming too predictable on those 2 strike counts. The 1-2. It's a pop-up into foul territory. Chasing it down is Evan Brock. He'll make the grab. Connor Kiefer, another pop-out, and it's now 2 outs with these bases loaded. Alan Ramos, the last hope to knock somebody in. This game has turned around very quickly for Sean Driscoll.
Yeah, it'd be tough here for the Americans to not get another run across here with these bases loaded and had no outs. And last hope here, like you said, Andrew, is Alan Ramos. So let's see if he can drive 1 or 2 in here for these Americans, extend their lead.
Americans lead 1-0. Chance to add to that. Driscoll sends a strike on the inside part of the plate to Ramos. It's 0-1. So after struggling with his command early in this inning, giving up 2 walks in a row to Matei and Panaro after the early single by Chris Gazaldo, now Driscoll, a good look at the strike zone over these last few at-bats. It's 1-1 on the low ball. Has had consecutive 2-strike counts before forcing the pop-ups of Past and Kiefer. Ramos looking to avoid that same fate with the count even. It'll be a quick timeout. Did not last too long. Ramos with the bases loaded. Number 4, if he had a grand slam, would be runner number 4 to score in this inning, but it's 1-2 on the inside pitch. Ramos hasn't really shown that home run power this season, but 5 RBIs looking to add to that tally. Another 1-2 count by Driscoll. This time with 2 down. Can he end the inning right here with the bases juiced? Oof. Gets in there for strike 3 on the inside part of the plate. The Americans have had trouble leaving runners on base over the last few games, and the trend continues here in the bottom of the second. They lead 1-0 though, so we'll see if they can hold on as we turn it over to the top of the third.
Fans, if you've been to a game, you know that I give away pizza to a lucky fan in the middle of the 3rd inning. But what you might not know is that Sammy's is located right across the street. They've also been family owned and operated for 3 generations since 1962 and originated the half tray of pizza. But if you're hungry at the game, you can stop by the concession stand and get a slice of Sammy's for yourself.
We bring you to the 3rd inning here on the Americans Baseball Network. This 3rd inning brought to you by Greater Niagara Federal Credit Union, Geico of Buffalo, Sammy's Pizza, and McDonald's. And if the Americans score 2 more runs in this game, every fan will walk away with a free McCafe Frappe. Personally, I'm even more excited for this Thursday when the snack wrap makes its long-awaited return.
Yeah, I've never had one of those, Andrew, but I know when items like that return at McDonald's, people go crazy for them.
Ondas sends one down the pike for strike 1. Low edge of the zone, but a nice pitch by Jaundice. The 0-1 count on Jason Brown, the final hitter in this Pilots order. 238 hitter, 722 OPS. Line drive into right field, and Kiefer backs up to make the grab. Connor Kiefer, some nice range from second base. You see him going back into that outfield almost every single game he plays second.
Yeah, he kind of backed up there. The ball looked like it might go over his head, but like you said, Andrew's got that range, gets over towards a little bit towards first base and grabs the ball, gets a nice first out here for Ondas.
And Evan Core knew that was Kiefer's ball, not moving much for it. Nick DiGiacomo for the 2nd time through the Pilots order here. That's going to be a high fly ball into left field. Backing up towards the fence. Gavin
Nice.
Boyle will make the grab on the warning track for out number 2. Nick DiGiacomo got a nice piece of that one. Close to his first homer of the year, but Gavin Boyle making the grab right on the edge of the outfield.
Yeah, it seemed like as soon as DiGiacomo made contact, that ball started a nice crack off his bat, but nice play there by Gavin Boyle to make that grab and get 2 outs here for Ondas.
So DiGiacomo now 0 for 2. Chris Finicario, who had the first Pilots hit of the day, up for the second time now. Gets in there on the outside edge for strike 1. John Ondas looking sharp in this inning and has gotten some help from his defense. Connor Kiefer and Gavin Boyle with some nice grabs to put outs on the board. Count is even at once.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Andrew, nice grabs here by this defense. Definitely helping Ondas here, but regardless of that, Ondas has definitely pitched very well here so far for these Americans.
Going to be a ground ball picked up by Kiefer again. Throw to first in time. It's a 1-2-3 inning for John Ondas. Defense looking great. Ondas looking great. That's all the Americans need with the 1-0 lead. We'll send it to the bottom of the third.
No, I'm kind of thirsty. Me too. We could really use something. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Yankee Doodle Dan. That's better.
Hey fans, did you know American season tickets are just $99? Come be part of the fun this summer at Sal Magley Stadium. Stop by the concession stands and pick up your season tickets today to be part of this historic season in Niagara Falls.
Thank you, Avery. We're back for the bottom of the third inning. Americans and Pilots facing off for the third time this season. Season series is even, so whoever wins this game will take the lead in that regard. Grant Moore, the leadoff man, up for the second time today and leading off another inning as 10 batters went up in the first 2 for the Americans. First pitch will drop low and away for ball 1.
Yeah, Grant Moore was the one that came across in the first inning and scored for the Americans, so we're hoping to see him get on base here again and maybe get another one here for these Americans.
He walked and came all the way around to score. Close shave to make it 2-0. Chance for another walk here. First one was off of Simacek, and now Driscoll going into his second inning of work. Pilots seemingly using somewhat of an opener in this game in the form of Simacek, because now Driscoll looking to settle in for the bulk of work here against these Americans. Stranded the bases loaded in the second inning, but now 3 balls to Grant Moore. Driscoll has had much more success against the bottom of the Americans order than anything else. Grant Moore, no green light on the 3-0, and it's a strike down the pike. I think Driscoll's aware how few batters in this league have that green light on the 3-0 pitch. But still the count in Moore's favor. And it's outside for ball 4. Grant Moore takes a walk for the second time today and just 2 times up to the plate.
And like we mentioned before, Andrew, in the first inning, whenever Grant Moore gets on, it's almost a guaranteed double. So we'll see if he takes second here again. But last time getting on the pass ball by the catcher, so we'll see if he steals here this time.
Moore in pursuit of his 30th steal of the season. Be a big accomplishment for Grant. Evan Core, as Moore takes off already, he'll be safe before Driscoll can even get a strike on the count. It's 1-0.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, Andrew, big accomplishment here for Grant Moore, getting his 30th stolen base on the season there with that steal to second base there.
Grant Moore not a home run hitter, so won't have the 30 home runs to match that, but already a big lead towards third. Could have 31 on this at bat. It's 1-1 to Evan Core. But I think that's the least of the Americans' worries right now. They just want to advance the runner for Gavin Boyle. Inside at the feet of Core. So now the count in Evan's favor. Core, a .538 average towards the start of the season, has cooled off significantly since then, but still gets some hits off every now and then. And that'll be low and away, but finds the corner. Count is even on Evan. Core second on the team in steals, so if he gets on, some double steal potential with Moore and Core. But Core 0 for 1 on the day. Popped out his first time up. And they'll check on Moore. He scurries back into second. Grant Moore has stolen second base a lot more often than he's stolen third base, but a lot of it comes down to confidence. It's outside for ball 3. His coach at Mount Vernon Nazarene University told him in the second half of his season to run on those bases and be confident in his base running more than he did in the first half. Finished the year with 24 steals. Now he's broken that in summer ball and looking to break it again in the spring. In there for strike 3 on Evan Core, though. A nice pitch from Sean Driscoll for his second strikeout of the game. First came against Alan Ramos. Both of his strikeouts have come looking. Big contrast from John Ondas, who has sent 2 swinging strikeouts the Pilots' way.
Yeah, it's 2 different kinds of pitches here in this game with Driscoll and Ondas. Like you said, Andrew, got looking strikeouts and swinging strikeouts, so we'll see what happens here with Gavin Boyle up and Grant Moore in second here.
Boyle looking for his second knock of the day. Knocked in Grant Moore back in the first inning. Breaking ball ends up back in the strike zone. So it's 0-1 to Boyle. Americans looking to repeat what they did in the first inning right here. That's going to be a pop-up. Ends up deeper as a fly ball into left field. Caught for out number 2 by Jacob Paletto. So Gavin Boyle 1 for 2 now. And it'll have to be Graydon Miller to drive in Grant Moore if the Americans are going to do it in this inning. Miller grounded into a double play his first time up, but prior to Sunday had an 8-game hit streak going. Going to start a new one. Ooh. That'll hit him on the back. Almost went way behind him, but curving back in to hit him. 2 ducks on the pond, and that'll be a way for somebody else to drive in Grant Moore, but not ideal for these Americans.
Yeah, looks like almost a curveball there from Driscoll. Just kind of gets out of his hand the wrong way and just clunks Graydon Miller in the back there, but looks to be okay. Doesn't need to receive any pharmaceuticals, so he'll be all right and walk over to first base there.
It's a little shaken up, but now on first base with Moore on second for Chris Gazald, who already has a hit today. That came just an inning ago. Ended up all the way on third base, but was stranded there. Ball 1 on Gazaldo on the low outside corner. Gazaldo came in batting .324 with a .728 OPS. Looking for RBI number 10 on the season. That's a liner into left field for the base hit. Drops just fair. Grant Moore comes around to score. Gazaldo's going to have the double on this one. So Chris Gonzalez, he was a guy who was all singles early in the season, but of late, starting to hit some more doubles, and it's really helped these Americans. 2 runners in scoring position for Tommy Mathey now.
Yeah, Evan Brock there tried to reach out there for that ball and misses it, but the ball stays fair, and Grant Moore comes in again. Now we got 2 runs here for these Americans, and 2 runners still in scoring position here for Tommy Mathey.
Went right down the third base line for Chris Gonzalez. Some nice contact, and boy, is he thankful that went there. Foul ball for Tommy Mathey to start things off. Mathey walked his first time up, so first true at bat of the game. Potentially right here. The 0-1 with 2 on and 2 out. It's another liner into left field. This one higher. And it'll be out number 3 into the glove of the left fielder, Jacob Paletto. Paletto's been busy this inning, but the Americans get another run on the board thanks to the Chris Gonzalez RBI double. We'll be right back with the bottom, or rather top of the 4th.
My fellow American fans, my name is Frankie Morris, your social media manager. You can join us all summer long with many promotional nights and tickets just as low as $10. You can call and get tickets at 716-215-6161 and take a crack at the action.
Back for the top of the 4th inning, and this 4th inning here on the Americans Baseball Network is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 237, by Johnny Ryan. It's Johnny Ryan night here at the ballpark, so every fan will walk out with a free Johnny Ryan. Hopefully an Americans player can get a case as well with a home run, but Coca-Cola, an additional sponsor of this 4th inning, and Avery drinking one of my favorite Coke products, a nice can of Sprite.
Yeah, it's not my usual go-to drink, but, you know, I decided to change it up today and grab a Sprite from the fridge, and kind of glad I did. It's pretty good. Haven't had one in a while, but I could see why it's your favorite drink there, Andrew.
Yeah, I'm not really a Coca-Cola person, but definitely a Sprite fan. The famous lemon lime soda of the Coca-Cola company, but get all your Coke beverages for yourself down at concessions every home game. It's strike 1 to Cooper Loyal as we kick off the 4th inning. Noah Brooks and Parker Zeisser due up in the inning in addition to Loyal. The 0-1, another low strike for Ondas.
Yeah, Ondas here facing a couple tough customers here in the Pilots lineup, but he's gone through 3 innings so far, and let's see how well he does this inning.
Liner into center field. Moore is going to move over, but it'll drop next to him for the base hit. Cooper Loyal on for the first time today after the strikeout in the 1st inning. Noah Brooks up next, and with a runner on base, chance to do some real damage. Only Pilot with a home run this season, also 22 RBIs. Well ahead of the rest of the team. First pitch is fouled off down the first base line. Got a kid in a 38 jersey over there, sharing the number of the great Aiden Klimzak, who threw the complete game shutout yesterday.
Yeah, that's a pretty good jersey there for that kid to have, and hopefully he realizes what kind of player he's wearing there on that jersey.
And that's a wild pitch. Cooper Loyal takes second base in scoring position for the batter Brooks. Ondas going to have to be careful here. 2 runs of insurance with the 1-1 count, but now the tying run up to the plate and a runner in scoring position. Cooper Loyal taunting Ondas. It's a low outside ball 2 on the count. Seems Loyal distracted him a little bit there. But Noah Brooks has the count in his favor. Ondas checking back again. The 2-1 pitch is going to be a high chopper. Ramos picks it up, sends it to first.
Nice.
In time for out number 1. And that'll strand Loyal at second base.
Yeah, Ramos there seemed to anticipate the ball, and the ball kind of took a little drop on him, it seemed like, but he still grabs that ball and throws a frozen rope over there to first base to Graydon Miller.
Oh, and Ramos almost seemed like he was like, whoa, that's going right up near my head. And now the Pilots with 1 down thanks to Ramos's play. His natural position over at short. It's strike 1 on the low outside corner to Parker Zeisser. Zeisser singled his first time up. And I mean, 156 hitter heading in, but has always seemed to do good things against these Americans. The 0-1 will drop low to even things up. 1's across the board to Parker. Ondas looking for his 3rd win of this season. Americans hoping to add some more insurance to help his case, but another foul ball down that first base line for strike 2. Drops out of play. Well, we're on the subject of jerseys. Saw that kid in the Aiden Klimzak jersey earlier. We all got jerseys on the intern team to start the season, and pretty happy with who I'm sharing a number with as well. Sharing the number of Keegan Bazinet, one of the star pitchers for these Americans. The 1-2 will be swung on and missed. Parker Zeisser, the 3rd strikeout victim for John Ondas. 2 down as Grant Ingram comes up to bat.
Yeah, it was a nice pitch there by Ondas. Gets a swing there and no contact, so he gets another strikeout. And Ondas has done very well here today for these Americans.
And Avery, our reasons for doing so will be revealed tomorrow. But I had to take note of everybody on the intern staff jerseys at the start of the day. And Avery, a little bit more of a unique situation where number 15 sharing with a batter, Graydon Miller.
I believe I wear 24, Andrew. I'm pretty sure I wear 24. That'd be Shane Prey. I wish I wore 15 though. I'd love to share a number with Graydon Miller.
The 0-1 is fouled off. I mean, you're wearing number 15 in one of our countdown posts. So
yeah,
a couple different jerseys.
Yeah, that's true. I was wearing 15 earlier this year, but that wasn't my official jersey. But the one I've been wearing has been 24. So Shane Prey, but yeah, like I said, Graydon Miller would be a nice number to share with him.
I mean, both of them have been excellent at the corners of the infield, but it's 0-2 to Grant Ingram. Runner headed towards third. Cooper Loyal will shove his legs right into the feet of Chris Gazaldo. I don't know what he was doing there, but takes third base.
Yeah, it seemed like that slide there kind of hurt him there a little bit, but he seems to be all right. He's back up on third base there.
Thank God for Chris Gazaldo that no metal spikes are allowed on this field. Foul ball makes it 1-2. I just have horror stories replaying in my mind of when Manny Machado spiked Dustin Pedroia and his career got ruined as a Red Sox fan. That was one of the saddest days of my childhood. But the 1-2 from Ondas with 2 down. Fouled off.
Yeah, back to the metal spikes. I remember watching the 42 Jackie Robinson movie, and he was playing, I think it was first base, and one of the runners stepped on his foot back in the movie, but no metal spikes here. And we saw a video of Batavia calling us out, saying they don't like that we don't allow metal spikes here. Just
reigniting the rivalry, but Graydon Miller catches the line drive right there. You were just calling his name, so pretty fitting that he makes the grab. But one runner left on in the form of Cooper Loyal. He took a couple bases, but we'll stop there as the Americans lead 2-0 headed into the bottom of the inning. We'll be right back.
Fans, if you've been to a game, you know that I give away pizza to a lucky fan in the middle of the third inning. But what you might not know is that Sammy's is located right across the street. They've also been family owned and operated for 3 generations since 1962 and originated the half tray of pizza. But if you're hungry at the game, you can stop by the concession stand and get a slice of Sammy's for yourself.
Hey fans, this season you can connect with the Americans like never before with exclusive content on our social media platforms. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.
Those social media pages up and running thanks in part to our social media managers. Frankie Morris and Leah Fraun have been a big help for the social media team this season. And it'll be Carmen Panaro to lead things off in the bottom of the fourth for these Americans. Will be followed up by Nick Past and Connor Kiefer. All three looking for their first hits of the day, but Panaro did reach base, unlike the other two, walking to start off his day. Past and Kiefer popped out in the second inning. Liner into center field, drops in front of Nick DiGiacomo for the base hit. Carmen Panaro has reached base 2 times already, and just glad to see that he's getting more playing time. It's well earned.
Yeah, that was just a nice piece of hitting right there by Panaro. He just gets the first pitch, sees what he's like, and drives it up the middle. And early runner here on base here for the Americans.
And next up will be Nick Pass. Popped out with the bases loaded, but we'll see if he can advance Panaro his second time up. 1-0. And yeah, there was a nice hook on that ball from Carmen Panaro. So a little bit of an adjustment for Nick DiGiacomo, and he was not able to get there. And the pickoff attempt unsuccessful. Panaro sort of, I don't know what you call that, maybe stomping back into first base.
Yeah, I feel like usually when you see guys going back to first base, they kind of slide back in, but not right there for Panaro.
High fly ball. It's foul, but nice piece of hitting from Nick Pass. Count is even. Looked like he was just disappearing into the sky. More realistically, dropping near the batting cages. The 1-1 is a liner into left field. Nick Past with the base hit. It's first and second, and Past, after a nice piece of hitting in foul territory, follows it up with a liner in fair territory. First and second for Connor Kiefer.
Yeah, nice little change over here for the Americans. 2 runners on here with no outs, and let's see if they can do something different here this time with runners on and maybe try off the score a little bit more here on these pilots.
Kiefer, like Past, a pop-out victim back in that second inning. Up for the second time today against Sean Driscoll. He shows bunt. Smart bunt by Kiefer. And the throw to first is in time, but runners now in scoring position for Alan Ramos.
Yeah, Driscoll there seemed like he was going to throw to second. Changed his mind and went back over to the first, and you can't be mad about that at bat with the sack bunt, moving the runners across. And now we got 2 runners in scoring position here for the Americans with 1 out, and Alan Ramos here coming to the plate.
Connor Kiefer, at least in recent days, more a defense-first player, so utilizing some small ball to keep these Americans going. I mean, Kiefer has some speed as well, so there's a chance he could have beat that out if the bunt went into the right place, but goes right back to Sean Driscoll for the out. 1-0 to Alan Ramos. Ramos with the chance for RBIs number 6 and 7. Panaro and Past in scoring position. The breaking ball will get in there. Backdoor slider to put ones across the board. Sean Driscoll with some nice spin on his pitches. As the count even. And it's a line drive into left center. Coming in from center field is DiGiacomo, but it drops next to him. 1 run scores. Pass stops at third, but Carmen Panaro comes in on the RBI single from Alan Ramos. Alan Ramos has been unbelievable in the recent stretch. His on-base streak continues. Now, right around 10 games. Grant Moore up now with runners on the corners. So the Americans already on their 3rd time through the order, and Sean Driscoll's day is done. Driscoll done after just about 2 1/3 innings. And this one was not his finest work.
Yeah, I mean, giving up 2 runs isn't a bad day, but after getting 2 runners on now here, after that run scored for the Americans with 1 out, seems the Pilots wanted to change the approach here, especially with Grant Moore coming up to the plate.
And the Pilots now have a position player pitching. It's Mason Haar. Haar is first pitching appearance for the Pilots, but did pitch in high school, so not completely new to the mound. So I'd argue this is more a test of versatility than a concession of defeat for the Pilots.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a league you want to experiment in, especially being in more on the developmental side for these baseball players. So it never hurts to throw someone on the mound who hasn't really pitched, but pitched in high school. So we'll see what Mason Hart can do here for these Pilots.
And Sean Driscoll finishing his day, giving up 5 hits, 2 earned runs. Also walked a man, hit a man. Walked 3, rather. But 2 strikeouts in there, so he definitely showed flashes. Faced a grand total of 16 batters. And now, 3rd time through the order, Grant Moore has walked his first 2 times up, facing a 3rd different pitcher in 3 times up to the plate.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something typically you'd see ever in baseball, but I guess it kind of throws you off as a batter as you have different pitchers, maybe throwing different pitches. So kind of have to adjust your approach here. But with 1 out here for these Americans and runners in the corners, might see I'm hopeful to see Grant Moore gets a hit here and drive some runners in here.
Definitely. And Alan Ramos with that single has now gotten on base every single game that he's played in this season. An unbelievable stretch for Allen. This is his 12th game of the year, so a 12-game on-base streak for Allen to start off his season. Ramos, his value doesn't always show when it comes to the stat sheet, but a very valuable player for these Americans in many different ways. And he takes off for second, going to get there in time. Alan Ramos, as I mentioned in the doubleheader yesterday, one of the fastest players on the team, just hasn't had many opportunities to steal, but a wide open second base, and he gets right into scoring position.
Yeah, he really flew right there, Andrew. Seemed like he was almost running too fast, and now we got 2 runners in scoring position here for Grant Moore.
And Alan Ramos right there, picking up his 3rd steal of the season. Inside pitch to Moore to even up the count. 1s across the board. Ramos has earned more playing time as the season has progressed. Played in both games of the doubleheader. Graham Moore looking to knock him in, as well as the runner on 3rd, Nick Pass. Foul ball right there. Moore looks a little frustrated.
Yeah, it seemed like he fouled that ball off, and it caught him in the leg or ankle-ish area, it seemed like, but he's going to take a second there to catch his breath and make sure he's all right.
Yeah. Seems to be okay, but just a little bit of pain.
Yeah, the one thing I'd hope, though, is taking that ball off the leg. Hopefully it doesn't affect his running here in this game, especially with his reaching his 30th stolen base this season. But
I mean, if he wants to run, got to knock in these runners. A walk would juice up the bases. So there wouldn't be an open base for him. The 1-2 pitch with both runners in scoring position. It's a liner down the third base line, goes foul. A little bit further in fair territory, could have been a nice piece of opposite field hitting. Instead, goes near the Americans' coaching staff.
Yeah, Will Cordero there looked like he could kind of duck away from the ball there.
Americans out hitting the Pilots 6-3. Also outscoring them 3-0. And Grant Moore gets whacked. So nowhere for him to run here. I mean, almost nice for him. He'll get some time to take it easy at first base. But Evan Core with the bases loaded and one down. A big RBI chance. Already 1 run scored in this inning. Can Core knock in some more? He has 8 RBIs on the year. Chance for numbers 9 and 10, possibly even 11 given Grant Moore's speed. And has a lead regardless of the beating he took between the foul ball and the hit by pitch. Strike 1 on Evan Core.
Yeah, it seemed like Grant Moore was kind of a magnet to that ball there in his last at bat. And like I said before, hopefully it doesn't affect his running on the base paths here. And maybe we don't see any fartlek from him, you know, taking a little slower, but hopefully we see his top speed here.
High chopper, and Brock's going to throw home. 1 out and no out at first base, so the bases stay loaded. 2 down on the Americans.
Ooh, Ramos!
Oh, Ramos going to score last minute as the ball gets away. Alan Ramos, the runner to score, after Nick Past was tagged out. So now Grant Moore all the way on third base. Evan Core reaches first, and Gavin Boyle is up next. A very interesting play right there. We'll wait for the official ruling.
Yeah, it seemed like the throw over to first base there kind of got away, and taking advantage of that was Alan Ramos, and out of nowhere just took home and gets another run across here for the Americans.
Yeah, now 4-0. A crazy way to score a run. But Alan Ramos scoring after the fielder's choice. And Evan Core takes second base on ball 1 to Gavin Boyle. Evan Core in double digits in steals. Him and Grant Moore are the only ones who can say that on this team.
Yeah, it seems like you've seen a lot of movement here on these bases with Ramos. We've seen Evan Core here stealing some bases too. It's a whole party out here for these Americans.
That'll be a breaking ball for strike 1. And yes, party on the base paths for the Americans. They've scored 2 runs in this inning, doubled their total on the day in this inning alone. And this is officially the most runs the Americans have scored since the last time playing Newark 6 days ago.
Yeah, and you love to see that change-up and adjustment here for these Americans. Totally changing their game, and love to see it out of this team.
An inside ball 2 at the feet of Gavin Boyle. Count in his favor. And the Americans looking to drive in Grant Moore and Evan Core. They're both in scoring position. And Evan Core, fair enough, no RBI on that play, but Alan Ramos scoring after the fielder's choice. 2s across the board as Boyle swings and misses. Gavin Boyle has had some strikeout problems over the course of the year, but has also shown some great power. Which version of Gavin Boyle will we get? With 2 runners in scoring position and 2 down, as well as 2s on the count. Could it be a double to keep the theme going? Foul ball to start things off with this count.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see a double here, Andrew, but what we've seen from Gavin Boyle here recently would be even better to be another home run for him on the season. Don't want to jinx anything, but we'd love to see it here out of him.
Gavin Boyle has had a handful of extra base knocks on the season, doubles, home runs, even a triple The 2-2 pitch, swing and a miss. Boyle headed towards first on the drop strike 3, and
safe,
he will
and Grant
beat it
Moore
out.
comes in.
Grant Moore comes in to score, and Gavin Boyle, the first American all season to beat out a drop strike 3.
Yeah, that's definitely not something you see every day, Andrew. Seemed like the throw there from the catcher, Noah Brooks, kind of just got away from him there when he's thrown over to first, and this inning has been definitely a little bit crazy here, Andrew, but I'm not mad at it. The Americans are now up 5-0.
So we'll go in as a drop strike 3 and an error for the Pilots. Pilots, their first error of the day. That's also the first error overall in the game. Graydon Miller still has runners on the corners for his at-bat. Now it's Boyle and Core as Grant Moore is plated for the second time today. Or rather, third time. Has scored all 3 times up to bat. It's a fly ball into center field. It drops. DeGiacomo loses his hat. Americans score another run. Evan Corrigan to score. Gavin Boyle the third, and Graydon Miller on base for the second time today, looking to start up a new hit streak after he lost his hit streak yesterday.
My goodness, Andrew. I mean, this inning has been terrific here for these Americans. Getting hits across. I mean, not necessarily the strongest hits, but they're hits regardless, and errors for these New York Pilots, and we're getting runs across here for these Americans.
I don't get the decision from the Pilots to bring up a pitcher who has not pitched for their team before when they're down just 2-0.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, experimental, but this is a game that could have been winnable for the Pilots.
Yeah, 2-0 is definitely not a huge lead, but now it's extended to 6-0 here for these Americans.
And 1-0 on the count to Gazaldo as Graydon Miller takes off for second base. Graydon Miller not known for stealing, but he does right there.
Yeah, and we see the use of Graydon Miller's long getaway sticks there and steals second base there.
So runners on second and third. Graydon Miller got caught heading to second on a single about a week back, but redeems himself on the base paths there, and it's him and Boyle in scoring position for Chris Gazaldo, who already has a single and double today. 3-0 on the count. And Gazaldo has not tripled this season, but if he does, would put himself a home run away from the cycle.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you usually see here, and would be nice here for Gazaldo to reach that. You know, just a shy of the triple and the home run, but we'll see what happens here.
It's a low strike 1 to Gazaldo. So Mason Haar, believe it or not, has actually not given up an earned run. 3 earned runs charged to Sean Driscoll after he left the game midway through this inning. And Mason Haar, 1 run unearned, thanks to the error. 3-1 pitch is a ground ball, picked up by the shortstop Cooper Loyal and sent to first in time for out number 3. So the madness will end here, but the Americans bringing up 9 batters and scoring 4 runs in a monster 4th inning. We'll send it to the 5th after the break.
No, I'm kind of thirsty. Me too. We could really use something. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Yankee Doodle Dan. That's better.
back for the top of the 5th. Andrew Roberts. Avery Vogt will be with us in just a moment. But this 5th inning brought to you by Tropical Heating and Cooling. Call 716-870-0753. And speaking of our sponsors, McDonald's will now be giving a free McCafe frappe to every fan in the stands as the Americans have exceeded 3 runs in this game. Free frappes for everyone. But 0-1 on the count to Jacob Paletto. Ondas in his 5th inning of work. It's a foul ball. Let's put Paletto down, 2 strikes in the count. No more wiggle room here. He's fouled off a couple. But 1 mistake and he's down packing.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a great sight to see here for Ondas to get another strikeout and keep his strong day going here for these Americans.
Swing and a miss right there, and we spoke it into existence. That's strikeout number 4 for John Ondas. Paletto has struck out twice today.
Yeah, it's not a great day for him at the plate, but hopefully the Pilots here can get these bats going here as they have no runs across here, but got 3 hits, so hasn't been a terrible day for them, but we'll see if they can turn it around here.
John Ondas came in with an ERA of 5.06, looking to improve upon that, and so far looks like he will. Inside and high for ball 1 to Evan Brock. Brock walked his first time up. Can he do it again against Ondas? Bases are empty for him. He had a runner on last time up. In there for strike 1 down the pike on the breaking ball. 1s across the board. Ondas has looked fabulous all night long.
Yeah, going so far 4 1/3 here, only giving up 3 hits, and it's a great look here for Ondas.
This Americans pitching staff, it doesn't matter who's starting. The starting pitching has been excellent for this team. Bullpen, a little shakier, but these starters have been saving them over the last few days.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be mad about Arms coming out, starting these games, and just giving you good innings as a pop out here.
Pop up here. Connor Kiefer will have it for out number 2. Kiefer has sent some pop-ups into the air, but he's also been great at catching them.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not easy, especially with these clouds here, kind of shading in the balls here, as clouds are almost kind of like the same color, but he's not having much difficulty today and really bringing in these balls here for the Americans.
Americans lead 6-0. Ondas looking for another 1-2-3 inning. Had one in the 3rd. Funny enough, that was his only inning without a strikeout. Liam Wagner, the second baseman, fouls it off for strike 1. Jason Brown on deck would complete the 2nd time through this Pilots order. Amazing that in this 5th inning, Ondas still on his 2nd time through. Helps that it's a 10-batter lineup. But nonetheless, it'll be outside for ball 1 on the number 9 hitter who he's seeing for just the 2nd time today. Liam Wagner grounding out right to Graydon Miller, unassisted to end the 2nd inning. Another foul ball puts Ondas 1 strike away from ending this inning.
Yeah, I mean,
searching for his 5th strikeout.
Yeah, we spoke it into his existence last time, so I'm hoping for another strikeout here to get number 6 on the day for you for Ondas.
This would be number 5, rather, but Ondas wearing number 6, so maybe he will finish with 6 strikeouts. Ooh. Swing and a miss right there. Liam Wagner, strikeout victim number 5 for John Ondas. Mind you, Jacob Paletto was struck out 2 times by Ondas, but we'll send it to the bottom of the 5th after the break.
My fellow American fans, my name is Frankie Morris, your social media manager. You can join us all summer long with many promotional nights and tickets just as low as $10. You can call and get tickets at 716-215-6161 and take a crack at the action.
Hey fans, you or someone you know have a birthday coming up? Why not spend it with the Americans? Packages include 10 tickets, 2 large Sammy's pizzas, 10 drinks, a customized Wegmans cake, autograph Americans baseball, and special recognition at the game, starting at just $175. Sign up online at www.niagarafallsamericans.com.
Birthday package sponsored by Wegmans and Sammy's Pizza. And speaking of Wegmans, they also sponsor the kids' run here at the ballpark. And as usual, we will keep it here at the end of this inning. See if Yankee Doodle Dan can keep his undefeated record. And I mean, came very close to losing on the 4th of July. Would be very surprising for the true Patriot himself. But there was a speedster on those base paths to face him on the 4th.
Yeah, they even had a rematch there at the later stages of the game. They ran the outfield walls, and Yankee Doodle Dan easily won that second race. But yeah, the first initial kids run, came very close to losing.
Definitely. And now Tommy Mathay will be up strike one on the outside part of the zone. Americans nearly batted around an inning ago when they scored 4 runs, but Mathay was the only batter who did not see action in that inning. Has walked and flown out his 2 times up today. 0-1 pitch. Line drive into right field, and Finnicario chasing it down to make the catch. An impressive run by Finnicario right there. That could have been a double for Mathay had he not ran over to catch that.
Yeah, it seemed like it was going to be a nice piece of hitting there by Mathay and drive it to the right field, but like you said, unfortunately made a nice play there, and now you got Carmen Panara coming up here for these Americans.
Carmen Panaro has gotten on every time up today, a walk and a single. It's a low ball 1 to Carm. Panaro has kind of been all over this Americans order these last couple days. Made his debut at first base in game 1 of the doubleheader. Now been in the DH/GH spot for the last couple games. Foul ball on a rocket down the first base line to put ones across the board to Carmen. Panara, one of the hottest hitters on the team. Hasn't had all that many opportunities to hit, but when he has, it's been excellent. Outside, ball 2 to Panaro. And it seems like the coaching staff has been catching on in recent days to the kind of hitter that Carmen Panaro is.
Yeah, it just seemed like he needed to get that recognition for what he could do at the plate, and like you said, Andrew, he's definitely gotten it here recently for these Americans.
Definitely. We'll see if he can prove the coaching staff right again here. Swing and miss for strike 2, but count's still even. Panaro had wiggle room with the hitter's count leading into that pitch. 2-2 with 1 down on 21. The 2s and 1s all over that scoreboard right now. Two pitch. Pop up down the third base line. It's going to go out of play, foul. Evan Brock was headed towards it, then realized how far out that was. Panaro with the even count, looking to get on for the 3rd time in a row to start off this game. Har delivers. In there for strike 3 looking. Carmen Panaro striking out for the first time today. That's the first time he's been retired today. 2 down on these Americans as Har looking better in his second inning of work. To be fair to Har, has not given up an earned run yet. He was put in a very tough situation at the end of that 4th inning. Liner into center field by Nick Past. DiGiacomo will come in to make the grab for out number 3. Americans go down 1-2-3. Mason Har settling in this experiment in its 2nd inning seeming to work for the Pilots, but Americans still lead 6-0 as we get ready for the kids' run here at the ballpark. See if Yankee Doodle Dan has any close competition like last time, Avery.
Yeah, well, it seems to be a small group of kids today, but you never know with these kids. They can always surprise us. Oh, wow.
And another girl close to Yankee Doodle Dan.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
This is close at second base. We're halfway through the race, and Yankee Doodle Dan just barely gonna claim victory and keep his undefeated record.
Yeah, that was a surprise right out of the gate, as Dan seemed to be neck and neck with that girl out there, and in the end, though, Yankee Doodle Dan pulls out and keeps his undefeated record alive here.
Gotta wonder if Dan's a little tired, but I mean, I don't know if it's worth a rematch here in this game, because I think it's pretty clear the rematch is always going to be advantage Yankee Doodle Dan, because those kids' legs get tired a lot faster than his do.
Yeah, I mean, some of these kids out here are pretty young, and with Dan having those longer legs and being a little bit older, he's got those lungs down to maybe run a little longer than these kids. But yeah, he keeps that streak alive here. Sal Magley.
Jason Brown will lead things off for the Pilots in this 6th inning. Americans going down 1-2-3 for the first time today, but 6th inning here on the Americans Baseball Network is brought to you by Niagara County Legislator Chris Robins, Laborers Local 91, and Wegmans, proud sponsor of the Kids Run. John Ondas headed into his 6th inning of work, and number 6 is looking for his 6th strikeout. That's a lot of 6s, Avery.
Yeah, I mean, Ondas has done very well here today. It would be cool to see his 6th strikeout for number 6 on his jersey, so we'll see how he does this inning. But no runs across and only 3 hits this game. He's done very, very well here for these Americans.
Speaking of which, the Americans have scored 6 runs to help him out.
Yeah, I mean, 3 6s there, Andrew.
First pitch from Ondas in this inning will find the outside edge of the zone to Jason Brown. Not to be confused with Jashawn Brown, the Tarp Skunks' dominant reliever. The lefty extra hitter playing for the Pilots this season. Outside to even up the count. Brown, a rising freshman at a local NAIA school, Montreat. He struggled at the high school level, batting .200, and it's a grounder to Kiefer, bobbled, and now sent to first. Justin, no, it's going to be a safe runner at first. Connor Kiefer with another error, his 3rd of the season. So Kiefer, it looked like he was going to be able to recover there, but Jason Brown has got some speed on him, a reason he's in that 10-hole. Beats out the throw.
Yeah, it seemed like Graydon Miller there just kind of took a little bit of a step off the base. It would have been an out, I believe, but yeah, unfortunately, error there for the Americans, and they got the runner on first here.
But would have been able to get the out anyways had Kiefer fielded the ball cleanly. It's strike 1 to Nick DiGiacomo. DiGiacomo on the day, 0 for 2 with a pair of flyouts. And the runner on, Jason Brown, has a lead at first. And a big cut for strike 2 on DiGiacomo. Nick DiGiacomo, speedster himself, but hasn't found himself on base yet today, so not able to show that. Double play would be real helpful for Ondas. Americans have not turned one of those yet today. It's inside for ball 1. The only double play in this game was the one that Graydon Miller grounded into. Cooper Loyal, the bulk of the work there, making the tag at second and the throw to first. Line drive into center field for the base hit. And DiGiacomo has his first knock at the game in this 6th inning. John Ondas has 2 base runners for just the 2nd time today. Gotta wonder how long a leash the Americans have on Ondas here. I mean, the error started this, so the runner on second is not Ondas's responsibility technically when it comes to earned runs. But Nick DiGiacomo certainly is after the base hit. Cooper Loyal, or rather Chris Finicario, the line drive into left field for another base hit. All runners hold. There's a nice cutoff by Gavin Boyle in left. Had Boyle not fielded that after the bounce, would have likely been the first earned run, or rather first run, not earned, for John Ondas today. Nobody out, though, now with the bases juiced. 2 runners in scoring position for Cooper Loyal. It's Brown on third, DiGiacomo on second, Finnicario on first. All 3 reached to start the inning. 1 on an error, the last 2 on singles. Upstairs, ball 1, and Ondas seems to be rattled from this continued parade of base runners for the Pilots.
Yeah, it seems though the Americans have confidence in him. No one's up in the pen, so let's see what Honest does here with these runners on.
Hudson Boring likely to be the first reliever today. That's a fly ball in foul territory. Boring has been used at times as a starter as well, so the Americans may be thinking about potentially saving him. But tomorrow's game will be against the Buffalo Diesel, an exhibition game, so who knows how many Americans regulars will be playing in that game. Inside ball 2 to Loyal. Would be smart at the very least to give catcher Nick Past a day of rest. He's the only catcher that's active for the team right now. Caught 2 games yesterday. 14 innings behind the dish is really going to hurt those knees.
Yeah, I was going to say, Andrew, it's not easy on the knees there when you're back behind the plate grabbing balls here for the pitcher, but it'd be definitely good for him to get a day off tomorrow.
Now passed up off his knees to meet with John Ondas. As it's 3-1 on the count to Loyal. Ondas has to dial it in here. Nowhere to put Cooper Loyal. Would be unfortunate if his first run allowed is walked in. Thankfully for him, at the very least, would not be earned. And also, thankfully, the Americans gave him 6 runs of insurance over the first 4 innings before a 1-2-3 fifth. 3-1, fouled off to fill things up in the count. Ondas has thrown just 80 pitches today, compared to the Pilots, who have thrown 93. That's pretty impressive, especially given it's the top of the 6th innings. So,
yeah, they've also used 3 different pitchers here for the Pilots, but they've stretched across 93 pitches among those 3 pitchers. But got Ondas here with about 80 pitches here, so it's a different story here for both these pitching staffs.
John Ondas getting ready for the payoff right here with the bases loaded. Fouled off. And Loyal getting a small piece of that one off the tip of his bat to stay alive. He chased the pitch. Could have taken it outside and probably walked to score the run, but gets a piece of it, so he saves himself. Ondas checks back on second. Now delivers. It's ball 4 in the low outside corner. John Ondas walks in a run. Not earned, but still not what you want to do with the bases juiced.
Yeah, I mean, he fought back there in that battle, got up to a full count, but like you said, Andrew, unfortunately, walks in a run. So let's see if he can battle back here for these Americans.
Noah Brooks, the cleanup man, up next, and he has a chance to do just that. Would really put the Pilots back in this game. A low and away, ball 1. John Ondas has not allowed anything of the sort today, so hoping to keep it that way. No extra base hits allowed by John Ondas in this game. Foul ball to even things up. Ondas has had a pair of 1-2-3 innings as well. Has struck out 5 batters. Strikeout here would be huge for him.
Yeah, it'd be able to set up for a double play possibly with the runners on. So let's see if he can attack the zone here.
Need one of those 2 things most likely to avoid a run scoring. Pop-up or line-out could work as well, but not as foolproof. The 2-1. Swing and a miss for the second strike. Brooks with a big cut right there. A home run swing, but not in the right spot.
Yeah, it seemed like he tried to swing out of his shoes there, but fortunate enough for the Americans, didn't make contact there.
Noah Brooks with the bases loaded. 2-2 pitch. Fouled off again. Brooks stays alive. Nice piece of hitting. Similar spot to where Nick Pass sent it on his foul ball down the first base line earlier today. Drops well out of play. 2-2. Will be low and away. Count is full again. John Ondas with his second consecutive full count. Walked Cooper Loyal the last time he was in this situation. Can he get the strikeout here or find another way to get some outs? All three runners have a lead on their respective bases. And it's going to be ball four. John Ondas walks in a second consecutive run. This one will be earned.
Yeah, it's a tough sight there for Ondas as he walks in the second straight runner here for the Pilots, but I'm hoping he kind of takes a deep breath here on the mound and recoups himself and starts attacking these zones and maybe get a strikeout or a double play here for these Americans.
But the Americans playing it safe and getting some action going in the bullpen. Gets in there on the corner for strike one. Appears it is Hudson Boring warming up. And Boring, who's been used as a starter, has the ability to go multiple innings. Could possibly finish out this game if Ondas comes out in this inning or after it. Another corner strike. John Ondas, I'm going to get back on track and at the very least finish this sixth. The 0-2 is going to be a fly ball foul down the first base line. Ondas now up to 92 pitches. Seems likely this will be his last inning. Whether he finishes it is the question. Americans pitchers not typically push past 100 pitches in a game. Count is at 1-2 as the breaking ball ends up too far outside. Parker Zeisser with the bases still loaded after consecutive bases loaded walks. Both came on full counts. The 1-2 is a high fly ball, foul. Drops out of play as well. Brady Toney providing the umpire with some more baseballs.
Yeah, I'd hate to see Ondas get pulled there before getting at least 1 or 2 outs here for these Americans. So I'd like to see him battle back here. Maybe get a double play here for these Americans, but let's see what he does here with a 1-2 count.
1-2 pitch right here. Foul ball to keep Zeisser alive. Nice pitch by Ondas, but Zeisser getting a piece of it. It's Brooks on first, Loyal on second, and Finicario on third. DeGiacomo and Brown scored on the walks. The 1-2 pitch.
Nice!
In there for strike three on the outside corner. John Ondas painting that corner this entire at-bat. Retires Parker Zeisser for the second consecutive strikeout against him today.
That's a great battle back there for Ondas after walking in the 2 runs. He paints the corner there, like you said, Andrew, and gets a fortunate strikeout here for these Americans to get the first out here of this top of the 6th.
And it's 6 strikeouts for 6 here. That was the first one looking all day for John Ondas. Outside, ball 1 on the new batter, Grant Ingram. So yeah, Ondas with the swings and misses on his first 5 strikeouts. Now sends Zeisser packing on the corner. He didn't even swing at it. The 1-0. Finds that outside corner again. And the good thing for Ondas here, he's going to have the advantage in all these right-on-right matchups. The Pilots are short on lefties, only batting 1 true lefty in this order, and then Jacob Paletto, the switch hitter. 1's on the count. Line drive right into the glove of Ramos. He bubbles it, but comes down with it for out number 2.
Yeah, it seemed like Ramos was just going to make the straight-up catch there, but kind of bobbles it in his glove and still comes down with the ball, so another productive out there for Ondas.
And you'll take that. Grant Ingram, his second consecutive line out. The first one went to Graydon Miller back in the fourth inning with Jacob Paletto, who's struck out twice already. John Ondas looking to make it 3 times with the bases juiced. Foul ball for strike 1, and strikeout and lineout. Certainly 2 ways to get these runners to hold. Those were the final 2 outs of the 4th inning for Ondas against those same 2 batters, Zeisser and Ingram. Now Paletto, who's only struck out against John Ondas today. This time a ground ball finally makes contact, and Graydon Miller makes the tag for out number 3. First base coach was signaling safe, but Paletto not in time. Graydon Miller, another unassisted ground out as we send it to the bottom of the 6th. John Ondas keeping the damage to a minimum against these Pilots. We'll be right back.
Fans, if you've been to a game, you know that I give away pizza to a lucky fan in the middle of the 3rd inning. But what you might not know is that Sammy's is located right across the street. They've also been family owned and operated for 3 generations since 1962 and originated the half tray of pizza. But if you're hungry at the game, you can stop by the concession stand and get a slice of Sammy's for yourself.
Remember, fans, an Americans game is a great way to entertain a group for the evening, and we are able to offer fundraisers tailored to your group needs. Nonprofits, churches, youth sports, and more. For all group information, please visit our website at www.niagarafallsamericans.com.
Thanks for that, Avery. And some groups have been coming throughout the season to these Americans games. Color guard here tonight. A local Cub Scout troop. And Mason Haar still pitching. His first appearance as a pitcher for the Pilots all season long, and he is now into his 3rd inning of work. Came in midway through the 4th, so he's retired 5 batters through these first 2 innings, but looking to retire batters number 6, 7, and 8. He'll see the bottom of the Americans order first with Kiefer and Ramos, then back around to the top. Grant Moore coming up for the 4th time through. Grant Moore, despite being up 3 times, has not had a proper at-bat today. 2 walks and a hit by pitch, and he's scored every single time.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy stat for Graham Moore, but it's been very productive for him. As you said, he's scored every time, so it's great to see for these Americans here.
Also got his 30th steal of the season. Connor Kiefer fouls it off for strike 1, and typically the trend for Kiefer has been good offense and good defense have aligned. And the error in that top of the 6th, we'll see if he can buck the trend in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, we'll see if he can get a hit here and get these runners on early here for these Americans in the bottom of the 6th.
Kiefer with the 0-1, a liner into center field. DiGiacomo coming in, but it drops in front of him. Cooper Loyal also backed up for it, but Connor Kiefer on base for the base hit. And that's a nice turnaround for Connor after the error.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice piece of hitting there by him. And I don't know, Andrew, there seems to be a trend today of us speaking things into existence. And it's a very good trend I'd like to see here for these Americans.
Absolutely. And Connor Kiefer now on first base. And not rattled by that error. I mean, to be fair, just a brief bobble for Kiefer, so appears to be on his game today. Ramos, the liner, foul down that first base line for strike 1.
Yeah,
Ramos has already singled. That was a rocket by him. So
yeah, unfortunately went foul, but we saw a little bit of a pitter-patter there from Kiefer there over at first base and try to take off for second there.
Kiefer hasn't had many steals this season, but he has the speed for him. Just 1 steal in 9 games played. Now this 10th today. And Kiefer takes off. Look at that. We just keep doing it. He's safe for his 2nd steal of the season. Just got to keep talking about all these good things happening for the Americans, and chance they'll get out of here with the mercy rule.
Yeah, I mean, ask and you shall receive, Andrew. It's just seems like everyone's listening to what we're saying today, and it's just happening. It's crazy occurrence here at the ballpark.
Doc telling us to maybe get a lottery ticket tonight. I'd maybe go with our game ticket and go down to Seneca Niagara Casino, play a free $10 slot play. It's a liner foul for Alan Ramos. But 1-2 with Kiefer now in scoring position after his 2nd steal of the year. Alan Ramos looking for his 2nd knock of the day. Singled back in the 4th inning, part of that big parade of runs for these Americans. Came around to score on a wonky fielder's choice by Evan Core. The 1-2 is going to be a grounder right to Cooper Loyal. Throw to first in time, and Ramos is out, but Kiefer's now on third base for Grant Moore.
Yeah, I would say it's a productive at-bat there for Ramos. Moves Kiefer there over to third with only 1 out. So if Grant Moore is unfortunate enough to not get a hit here, but it gets a sac fly out to the outfield, maybe see Kiefer come across the plate here and get another run here for these Americans.
Cooper Loyal's been a rocket shortstop for these Pilots. Ramos, the Americans' own shortstop today, has been pretty sharp himself, catching that liner just an inning ago. Strike 1 on Grant Moore on the outside edge. Moore takes one on the close shave. It's ones across the board. Could we see another Grant Moore Walker hit by pitch here?
Yeah, that one right there was a little bit of a chin music there for Grant Moore, and it was just pulled back. But yeah, maybe we'll see another Walker hit by pitch here for Grant Moore and get him on base.
Kiefer looking to come home. Outside for ball 2. And a Grant Moore walk would mean runners on the corners for Evan Core and likely Kiefer staying at third base. However, we've seen over the course of the season a couple of ball 4s get away from the catcher. That could be an avenue for Kiefer to score. The 2-1 will be upstairs for ball 3. Hudson Boring getting set to go in for the 7th inning. According to Frankie Morris down on the sideline, our social media manager. And I mean, we don't have a sideline reporter here on the broadcast, but Frankie pretty close to it right now.
Yeah, she hangs down there by the dugout and gets to hear all the chatter and talk down there from the players. I'm sure they're talking about baseball and everything else, maybe a little bit talking about Love Island and the show and just talking about baseball. But, yeah, she gets to hear everything down there.
Where did Love Island come into this? But
you know, I hear it in the clubhouse sometimes, so.
Full count on Grant Moore. That's going to be a liner right into the glove of Cooper Loyal. Loyal and reliable, one of the most reliable defenders out at shortstop. Makes the catch for out number 2. Retires Grant Moore for the first time today. That's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hit and walked today, but first time he makes contact, it goes right to the shortstop, so Kiefer's got to stay over there at third base.
Evan Core up to bat with 2 down. Strike 1 on the count to Core. And I mean, yeah, maybe a little bit of Love Island talk from what I've seen down in the dugout, but for the most part, more talk about their hacky sack and mafia games.
It's always
on the bus rides and on the field.
Yeah, it's always a fun time seeing them play hacky sack out in there by the dugout before the games as another one comes across for the Americans.
Yeah, the line drive by Core to score Connor Kiefer. Second hit of the inning, and the Americans lead 7-2. Gavin Boyle up next, has singled once today. That was followed up by a flyout and a strikeout. Boyle was able to reach on that strikeout. It was a drop strike 3. That was part of the madness in that 4th inning, but now meeting on the mound. Mason Haar may be done here, and he will indeed lead the game. So Haar completing 2 1/3 innings in relief of Sean Driscoll. And it'll be a new pitcher for the Pilots here on this Monday evening. That new pitcher is Ethan Chavez. Chavez, a 3.72 ERA, 2-2 record, and 11 strikeouts. Pilots, after the Mason Haar experiment, will head to one of their more reliable relief pitchers, the rising junior out of Mitchell. Final stat line for Mason Haar: 2 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Just one of them earned. Not a single walk allowed and 2 strikeouts. So not too shabby on 12 batters faced for Mason Haar.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a surprise to see him come out of the pen here for the Pilots, especially with no prior pitching experience here in the PGCBL for these Pilots, but not a bad outing for him today.
And Ethan Chavez has pitched against these Americans before. His most recent outing was on the 4th of July against Elmira. Went 3 1/3 in that game. That's a quick recovery for Ethan.
Yeah, I mean, only give him about 3 days of rest, and I mean, I'm sure it's just about enough time to get a little rest, but I'm sure like a couple more days. But Chavez comes in here for the Pilots here, being down by 5, so let's see how he does here.
Yeah, definitely. Chavez had a nice day against the Americans last time he faced them. But he'll get a second shot. Down 5 runs in this bottom of the 6th inning with Gavin Boyle ready to bat. Opposite-handed matchup to start off Chavez's day, but the righty Graydon Miller on deck.
Yeah, it's always in the batter's favor when he's the opposite hand of the pitcher. So for Gavin Boyle here being the lefty against the righty pitcher, and hoping to see some hits here, especially out of Gavin Boyle, and maybe drive one out to the right field and possibly see another run across here for these Americans.
Will be an opportune time for home run number 3. Hit his first of the season against these Pilots. He has a runner on, can really bust this game open if he homers here. The only batter in today's order who has a home run on the season. Delanto and Madison also homered this year, but Madison done for the year with the injury the last time these teams faced off. Gavin Boyle swinging and missing on strike 1, but Paul Delanto will be back after a few days away from the team on bereavement leave for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, I'd also like to point out Logan Stickler technically would have a home run, but like we said, it was called back by the umpires.
Not in this lineup today either. The 0-1, and Core will take second base on strike 2. So swing and miss by Boyle, but still ends up working out in the Americans' favor somehow. Evan Core has had some nice running on the bases throughout the day. Base running all around for these Americans has been excellent today. Gavin Boyle sends it right to the second baseman, Wagner, The throw to first, not in time. And it's a base hit in the infield for Gavin Boyle, his second knock of the day. Gavin Boyle really heating up over this recent stretch. Gets some help from the Pilots' defense there, but still goes down as a hit. And Core taking off for third now.
Yeah, it seemed Gavin Boyle really just put the afterburners on there and really just legged it out there. And like you said, Andrew, the defense kind of messed it up a little bit there. But yeah, Gavin Boyle makes it safe into first there, and Core advances to third.
Braden Miller looking for his second consecutive hit, but it's a fly ball into center field. And Nick DiGiacomo will make the grab for out number 3. Americans played another run, so it's now 7-2 as we send it to the 7th inning. Hudson Boring likely to pitch for the Americans when we're back.
No, I'm kind of thirsty. Me too. We could really use something. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Yankee Doodle Dan.
That's better.
Back for the top of the 7th inning, Andrew Roberts. Avery Vogt will be back with us in just a moment. The 7th inning brought to you by Elks Lodge of Niagara Falls, Bikers Against Child Abuse, the Stalka Agency, and Red Robin Gourmet Burgers and Brews. Americans out hitting the Pilots 10-5, outscoring them 7-2. So advantages of 5 in both columns as Hudson Boring takes over for the starter, John Ondas. Ondas with a quality start, 6 innings of work and just 2 earned runs, but Boring 1-0 with a 2.61 ERA, 16 strikeouts, 2 saves. A chance for the long save if he can go all 3 innings here.
And especially with him being more of a used as a starting pitcher, I feel like he can go the rest of the game here for these Americans.
But that first pitch is over the head of Evan Brock for ball 1. Not an ideal first pitch for Boring, but we'll look to settle back in. He's been itching for some starts over these recent days. Possible he can prove himself here. The grounder, Ramos, going to send it to first base for out number 1. Evan Brock retired after a pretty wild ball 1, but Boring going to recover.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'd like to point out today is I'm really liking Alan Ramos. I know he's playing shortstop today. So I feel like I've seen him play third base a lot, but he's playing second base today, and he's got a cannon of an arm. He's really broken these balls into first base.
Alan Ramos, his impact, as I mentioned earlier, not always shown on the stat sheet, but he is a very talented player. Was committed to D1 Wagner, now looking at a couple different schools, including Division I St. Peter's. Ones across the board to the new batter, Liam Wagner, who, funny enough, we were just talking about Wagner, but ground out and a strikeout for him today. Ball 2 in the dirt. Let's put the count in Wagner's favor. Ondas going through this Pilots order 3 times, 27 batters faced. It's a fly ball into right field. Evan Core going to move over to make the grab for out number 2. So 2 down. Jason Brown looking to avoid the 1-2-3. Brown has only reached once, and that was on an error by Connor Kiefer. came into the day with a .238 batting average, .722 OPS. Just 1 RBI on the year. It's a low ball 1 to Brown, the Montreal commit. The 1-0 will find the strike zone on the low edge. Hudson Boring a similar pitch, but a little bit higher. That slight adjustment will get the job done for the strike and the even count. Passed. Ready to catch the 1-1 from Boring. It's another low pitch. Let's put the count back in the favor of Jason Brown. 2 down. Boring. We're going to send these Pilots down 1, 2, 3 in the top of the 7th. And it's a high chopper. Will be called foul. 2s across the board as Boring seeking his first strikeout of the day.
After that first pitch that went behind the batter, it seems Boring's really kind of picked up his groove a little bit here and kind of attacking the zone against his batters, and looking to get his first strikeout of the day right here.
Boring excellent whatever role he's been in this season. And takes one. That's in there for strike 3. Jason Brown goes down looking. Hudson Boring his first strikeout. And he sends the Pilots down 1, 2, 3 in this top of the 7th. We'll send it to the bottom of the inning after the break.
My fellow American fans, my name is Frankie Morris, your social media manager. You can join us all summer long with many promotional nights and tickets just as low as $10. You can call and get tickets at 716-215-6161 and take a crack at the action.
Bottom of the 7th here from Sal Magley. Avery, take it away.
Hey fans, Niagara Falls Americans would love to partner with your business. Americans have lots of options to make your presence known in your community. Please visit our website at www.niagarafallsamericans.com to get involved. And as always, go Americans.
And it's 0-1 on the count to Chris Gazaldo. He'll kick things off in this inning, followed up by Tommy Mathay and Carmen Panaro. 0-1 pitch right into the glove of Chavez for out number 1. The comebacker on the line drive, and it's 1 down.
Yeah, it looked like that ball was going to make a drive right through the middle of the infield, but yeah, as you said, Andrew, it's a putback right to the pitcher. So quick first out here for the Pilots.
So the Americans with 1 down and Tommy Mathay up. Foul ball down the third base line for strike 1. Sun's starting to set here at the barber shop. Lights are on, and they are bright, per usual. Every game counts here in the PGCBL, aside from tomorrow's exhibition game. It'll be a fun one. Cordero and Wolf duking it out. Tommy Mathay, a line drive foul down the third base line. And it's 0-2. Liam Schott coming out to coach first base. He's been a regular part of that rotation. A bunch of different players getting their shot out there, but Liam Schott, one of the most frequent. Pun sort of intended. The 0-2 pitch in there for strike 3 on the outside edge. Carmen Panaro or rather Tommy Mathay, excuse me, goes down looking. Panaro went down looking his last time up, but has walked and singled.
Yeah, I can see how you can kind of mistake the two for each other, as they both wear red helmets on the field, so it's kind of hard to distinguish between them, especially with twos both on their jerseys. But now Panaro does come up to play here.
And the red batting helmets back-to-back in the order. Panaro, the extra hitter, will take a ball outside. So Chavez is looking for that outside edge of the zone again, but a little off target. 7-2 Americans with 2 down. Big cut and miss by Carmen. Been a little more aggressive over these last couple at bats after getting on in the first 2, but hoping to avoid the strikeout here. Chavez looking for his second consecutive. Another big cut and miss, and it's 1-2. Panaro seeking his 3rd time on base with 2 down. Timeout first as the pitcher Chavez is 1 strike away. Panaro. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. He's had 1 strikeout looking and now 1 swinging after 2 early times on base. We head to the top of the 8th. The Americans still up by 5. We'll be right back.
Fans, if you've been to a game, you know that I give away pizza to a lucky fan in the middle of the 3rd inning. But what you might not know is that Sammy's is located right across the street. They've also been family owned and operated for 3 generations since 1962 and originated the half tray of pizza. But if you're hungry at the game, you can stop by the concession stand and get a slice of Sammy's for yourself.
Top of the 8th inning here on the Americans Baseball Network. Hudson boring in for his 2nd inning of work, and this 8th is brought to you by Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino, the official casino of the Americans. More winning, more comfort, more entertainment. Go to SenecaNiagaraCasino.com for more. And Avery, we were talking about our good luck here on the broadcast today, but just a reminder to all the fans in the stands at this game or any future game, there is a free $10 slot play on the back of every Americans ticket.
I mean, that's basically your money's worth right there. You're paying $10 for a general admission ticket, and you take that ticket, go right to the casino, and get $10 in free play, which to me doesn't sound like a terrible deal. So
get your money back plus more.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time you go,
yeah,
at least a chance at it.
Yeah, and if you win even a little bit of money, that you're already up money from going to this game. So it's a great deal.
Nick DiGiacomo leading things off for the 4th time through the Pilots order. He followed up per usual by Chris Vinicario, and Cooper Loyal takes strike 1 on the outside corner. DiGiacomo 1 for 3. His single came on the most recent of those at-bats. It's a high fly ball into left field foul territory. Actually ends up fair, my apologies, but Gavin Boyle makes the catch for out number 1.
Yeah, Gavin Boyle there. Didn't seem like he had to really move there. Took maybe a couple steps to his right and caught the ball, so it was a easy play there for him in left field.
A little bit of a quirky stat here. Nick DiGiacomo has sent all 4 of his balls into the outfield in some capacity, 1 dropping for a single. The other 3 were flyouts. So a lot of consistency out of him. Chris Vinicario is 1 for 2 and takes ball 1. Vinicario, one of the best hitters on this team, and another one into left field for the base hit. Gets past Gazaldo and Ramos. Neither of them can get there. A hard piece of hitting. That's the 6th knock for the Pilots. Vinicario is 3 for 4. His only out coming on the ground out to Kiefer.
Yeah, 3 for 4 isn't a bad day, and especially a good day for him, especially when 3 of those hits have been half the total here for the Pilots, so can't be mad about that.
He's been keeping the Pilots alive in this game. They trail by 5. Strike 1 on the low edge of the zone to Cooper Loyal. Loyal 1 for 2. Strikeout, walk, and a single. 3 of your most common box score entries. Another big cut and miss. And it's 2 strikes. Early on the count to Cooper Loyal. Hudson Boring looking for his first strikeout of the inning and 2nd of the day. It's a foul ball first down the first base line and goes out of play. And a new pitcher warming up for the
Jason
Pilots.
Brown. The extra hitter, it seems like.
Yeah, Jason Brown was in the starting lineup today. And now getting ready to pitch, another Pilot who would be a first-time pitcher for the team. And had mixed results with Mason Haar. The real question is, would he come in right away for Chavez, or would Chavez attempt to continue the 8th inning? And that'll be a grounder to 3rd, out at 2nd, and in time for the out at 1st. Americans turn their first double play and end the inning right there. We'll send it to the bottom of the 8th after the break.
No, I'm kind of thirsty. Me too. We could really use something. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Yankee Doodle Dan. That's better.
Hey fans, we'd like to thank everyone for coming out to the park tonight. Remember that Americans Game is a great way to bring your group together, whether it's a school, church, business, or youth sports organization. The Americans are also able to offer great options and even picnics for your organization or business. Reserve your group online at www.niagarafallsamericans.com.
And as we return for this bottom of the 8th inning, the Pilots with another new pitcher, another first-time pitcher, Jason Brown. Brown has been the extra hitter in this order, now also in the pitch. It's his first pitching appearance for the team, relieves Ethan Chavez, who retired 4 straight after the single given up to Gavin Boyle. Americans have had 10 knocks today. 5 of them came off of Sean Driscoll. And now Nick Pass, Connor Kiefer, and Alan Ramos, the bottom 3 of the order, will face Jason Brown.
Yeah, we got the bottom 3 coming up, but you can see Grant Moore up out of the dugout with the bat too, so we'll be hopeful to see if he comes up here in the bottom of the 8th.
The Americans can manage to score 5 runs in this inning. They could win it right here, but the 7-2 lead, if brought into the 9th, would be nice as well. 2-0 count to Nick Pass right here. And yeah, this bottom of the order, not the guys you'd expect to do the most damage, but each of them have a hit tonight. So Avery, as you were saying, definitely a chance right here. Passed on one that almost breaks his bat. The ground ball to Loyal in time for out number 1.
Yeah, definitely by the sound of it, it seemed he might have broken his bat, but it's still intact for now as Alan Ramos takes it back to the dugout.
So 5 consecutive batters have been retired for these Americans. Now Connor Kiefer looking to break that streak. Singles in his last time up back in the 6th inning. Before that, a sac bunt and a pop out. Puts Kiefer at 1 for 2 on the day. In there on the inside corner for strike 1. It was a nice bunt by Kiefer earlier in the game, and then had his own piece of hitting later. 1's across the board to him from the new pitcher and extra hitter, Jason Brown. Here's the pitch. Ooh. And way inside will hit Connor Kiefer. Connor Kiefer has been hit a lot this season, and happens again right there. He's the 2nd hit batsman of the game for these Americans. And Kiefer gets whacked for the 7th, or rather 5th time this season.
Yeah, it seemed like he was taking his time to get into first base there. Seemed like that ball probably going to leave a nice mark on him, but regardless, he gets awarded with the first base.
Alan Ramos up next, and Kiefer already has a lead, so thankfully seems to be all right. Outside for ball 1 to Ramos. Ramos 1 for 3 with a single. Upstairs, and it's 2-0, excuse me, on the count. Allen has reached base every single game he's played for the Americans. Can he reach a 2nd time in this one? The 3-ball count, an encouraging sign for him to do so. And if he gets on base, he's a threat to steal. Him and Connor Kiefer would be a double steal threat with Grant Moore on deck. In there for strike 1 on the outside part of the plate. Kiefer already stole a base in this game. Looking for steal number 3, and he takes off on the liner into left field for the base hit. Kiefer's headed all the way to 3rd, and Alan Ramos will stop at first. 2 singles today for Alan. Grant Moore up with runners on the corners.
I mean, it's been a terrific day for Alan Ramos, getting another hit right there, and he's had a terrific day of defense as well, so another great day out of Alan Ramos. I got to say, he's one of my favorite players on this team.
Our scorer, Riley Drew Cross, and I had the chance to get some Chipotle with Alan Ramos a couple weeks back.
Kind of jealous of you guys.
Upstairs for ball 1. I mean, Alan really wanted some Chipotle after a late game, and no one else was really going post-game. More of a pre-game tradition for a lot of the players on the team. But I'm always down for some Chipotle. I got it for lunch today. Chipotle, if you're watching this, sponsor the Americans because you're pretty close to a sponsor here already.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the players eat it. Almost everyone eats it here at the ballpark. So, I mean, why not?
Grant Moore with the 1-0 count. Takes ball 2 outside. Still, my apologies. But Grant Moore today has reached base 3 times without a single hit. Has scored every time he's reached. Check swing, but he pulls it back. Now 3 balls in a row from Jason Brown. A lot of balls on these recent counts as well. Brown struggling with his command of the zone, and finally a strike to Grant, but taking second base is Ramos. Gets in there for another strike on the edge of the zone. And that advance will go in as a steal for Ramos. He's had a couple today. Swing and a miss. Grant Moore with the count full. Here's the payoff. In there for strike 3. That was right over that edge of the righty batter's box, but called a strike by the home plate umpire. Grant Moore sent packing, retired for the second consecutive at bat after reaching on his first 3.
Yeah, he's taking a kind of a slow stroll back to the dugout. I bet you he didn't agree with that call, but he's not going to argue it. He's a pretty well-round kid, so he's not going to argue with the umpire on that one.
Also a 5-run lead, maybe not worth arguing. The tag on Ramos, and now the second out at first base. The double play will end this inning. Or excuse me, just the ground out, no tag there. But the inning's over nonetheless. Evan Core retired, and we'll send it to the top of the 9th after the break.
My fellow American fans, my name is Frankie Morris, your social media manager. You can join us all summer long with many promotional nights and tickets just as low as $10. You can call and get tickets at 716-215-6161 and take a crack at the action.
Top of the 9th here. Hudson Boring looking for the long save, but it's not going to come easy. Noah Brooks, Parker Zeisser, and Grant Ingram due up. First pitch will be fouled off. Strike 1. Rather, 2 strikes on the count. Liner right to Alan Ramos. It hops. And now Graydon Miller completes the out. 6-3 ground out for Noah Brooks. This 9th inning is sponsored by Casella, Celino Plumbing, Blaze Brockway Contracting, and Wright Beverages. Get all your alcoholic beverages at every home game down at Deb's Beer Garden, thanks to right. And it's another grounder. This time is Hudson Boring covering first base to make the tag. What a play by Hudson to complete the ground out there on Parker Zeiser, and it's 2 down already in this top of the ninth.
Yeah, I'm checking the YouTube comments here, and I see Pucker6 saying Ramos had a great game tonight, and I would totally have to agree with that, Pucker6. He's had a great game. He's getting hits across and playing some great defense.
Strike one here to Grant Ingram, but yes, Alan Ramos has been excellent on both sides of the ball tonight. You love to see it for Alan. This is all before he even starts college. And a great campaign to work off headed into school. Count is even on Ingram. Americans will be back at the barber shop tomorrow to face the Buffalo Diesel in an exhibition game. That'll be at 6:30. Right here at the barber shop tomorrow. The 1-2 pitch from Boring is a liner foul down the third base line. But Boring's 1 strike away from the long save. Has faced just 9 batters, including Ingram. Only gave up a single hit and then made up for it with a double play. There's the swing and miss to end this game. The Americans win 7-2. Hudson Boring with his 3rd save of the year. And, I mean, the bats certainly gave him some help. The best night of hitting for the Americans since Tuesday, the last time they played these Pilots. The Americans with the 7-2 victory. They will play the Buffalo Diesel tomorrow. Likely some of the everyday players resting in that one, as it's an out-of-league game, will not count towards the standings. But they'll go on the road for 3 consecutive days, Wednesday through Friday. The Ironbacks, Double Days, and Red Wings waiting for them in those games. This is a nice win to build off headed into that stretch.
Yeah, I mean, it was a terrific game here for the Americans. They started off with the 1 run in the first inning, and they just kept it going here tonight. And, you know, Andrew, I'm going to bring it back. My personal player of the game today, I've said it all night, Alan Ramos. You were terrific in today's game. I gave you the player of the game for me tonight. How about you, Andrew?
I'm going to have to give it to another man in the middle infield, typically in the middle infield, this time on the left side. But give me Chris Gazaldo. Pair of knocks in this game, one of which being a double, and I mean, didn't end up with any RBIs here, but to start off your night like that, very impressive. Got him back on track after a couple of hitless games.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for him to get back in this game here for the Americans. And although he wasn't the player of the game, I got to give my flowers to John Ondas as well. He had a terrific start here for these Americans and gave them that defense and pitching they needed here to get this win today against the Pilots.
John Ondas picks up the victory, goes to 3-0. Hudson Boring, as I mentioned, with the long save, 3 innings of 1-hit baseball. That'll be a great outing to build off, especially if he wants another start in the coming days. He struck out 2, walked nobody, and just 1 hit allowed. But the Americans are now at 19-11. They've won a couple in a row after a rough weekend against Batavia. So the Americans back on track headed into their next few games. They'll have the exhibition tomorrow, and then the Ironbacks again in Canada on Wednesday. Final score, Americans 7, Pilots 2, Avery, thank you so much for being on the call again.
Yeah, it's great to be back on, Andrew. I love doing this.
And to all our watchers and listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Americans Baseball right here on the Americans Baseball Network.